Wait, is that a quote?
Oh, I like that. He's like peeking over our shoulders.
Yeah.
He's like, "What are you guys? You guys talking about me?"
It's a theme with all the art that we have. Like Wampa, M Block, of course you have value. All middlemen too. Hey, what's up, MM7? Lots of love, man. Yeah, wait, middlemen? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. We're gonna change this. We're gonna change it now to filmography. The Pawnbroker.
So I'll say this up front. This really filled up that hole that I've had in movies where I needed a bleak, Holocaust-driven story about a lonely pawnbroker in Harlem, and that really hit it all those major beats for me. And I walked out just chuckling my butt off.
I'm not sure, but I think you're under arrest. I think you're not allowed to say anything you just said. No, yeah, the Pawnbroker is look, it's fan freaking tastic, like Iron Man. It's just microphone attached to his chest like Iron Man. Yes, absolutely.
If I take this off, guys, I am in trouble.
Oh, thanks, MM7. Yeah, Disney was great. Disney was fantastic. I love it. Let's talk about the opposite Disney World, which is the Pawnbroker. Like 2 days ago, I went out for drinks and was done by like 11. Not drunk, but just so exhausted. Oh, yeah. You're talking about being old? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm old. Yeah, I'm old, man.
Backs out. I'm old, too.
We're old. Well, hold on a dang second. Not everything is the opposite of Disney. Yeah, but the two things that are the opposite of Disney are Sekiro and the Pawnbroker. Sekiro specifically because it is made with as much loving care as everything that Disney makes, but for the opposite reason. Michael looks a little old-timey from this angle, like Jeff's about to throw it and go to Sekiro Radio. Yeah, absolutely. He goes, and now the Sekiro Radio Hour.
The Shadow.
Yeah, there you go. And the Sekiro Singers. Dead. Ah!
When I travel, I have an old-time radio station podcast that I listen to like on the plane.
The Shadow.
And it's
the Shadow,
and the Phantom. And Dick Tracy.
Yep.
And then a lot of horror ones, like Spooky House horror ones, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
I have Orson Welles' War of the Worlds on CD, but I've never listened to it, but I need to. I love radio drama. Like
so do I.
They're so fantastic.
I've toyed with the idea of like doing a radio drama.
If you do, I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And we would need to get like the gadgets, like the saw,
Like we should do it, but then like also have the Foley like clearly there, like ding ding ding, and like
someone got shot, balloon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll just bring Imblock on. Yeah.
Why do I keep sinking? Seriously, what's going on here? Look at this. Hey, big brother.
Oh yeah, you're like, wait, whoa!
I don't know what's happening.
Good things come to even those in small packages.
All right, here we go. I think it just keeps. Did you ever hear that Michael Cera got cast as Batman? I did. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's gonna be awkward.
And for all you guys who are just thinking of Michael Cera as the Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist guy, you're really not into film, and you shouldn't talk to me.
I can't believe you remember that. I saw that, and
I did not see it.
It wasn't great.
I think I saw it in a list of like those things that like I have no opinion on this movie, but those blasts where they go like they're like, this is like not Netflix, but it's free. Watch all these free movies, and it's like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, and
what's that Ben Affleck?
They're like
Sandra
the Phantom,
yeah,
and like some
and the Shadow,
yeah, the Shadow, and they're like like this movie, like Mad City, or like well, I say that because I saw it the other day for $1 and I bought it, and I was like, I think whatever, and it's like a Hero with Dustin Hoffman, and Gina Davis.
Heard of that.
All right, it is all these movies though, and it's like all these movies where you're kind of like, okay, there's like something to that. I might watch that. I was really shrinking beneath Jeff's oppressive alphaness. Yeah, I know.
That's true.
Such an alpha dude. Yeah. The hat,
the black shirt, the Iron Man, the powers.
Yeah, it really is.
Did you see Endgame?
No, I haven't even seen Infinity War.
Cool.
We did see Black Panther.
You like it?
Yeah, it's
good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. I mean, it's a good James Bond.
It's a good James Bond.
No, it's like James Bond.
Who is?
I mean, it's like a James Bond movie.
Black Panther?
Yeah.
Is this a Who's on First Bet?
Nope. It's like a James Bond movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
How? Who's James Bond?
James Bond lives in
Wakanda?
in a country where they have an underground store of an amazing metal that they can. No, no, just because it's like it's like he's like a spy element to it, and he's got all these gadgets. Like his sister is Q, for crying out loud. He flies around with all these, Whatever. All right.
Okay.
Like Black Panther is James Bond. Foley is one of the funniest things to do ever. Yeah. The funniest things. The Beast Dance, you're badass. Is this a new meme for it? We get the pictures of Sarah on the batsuit. Yes. Black Panther's about bad. That was unfortunate. There was bad CGI in that movie, and there was there are parts where I was like, cool. I might be affected by this if it wasn't like they didn't have the filmography green screen.
Yeah.
I was like.
Because his suit was CGI
it's about
a lot of the time.
It's about as good as this. Yeah. Well, I mean, but every superhero movie, like Captain America goes like, I'm going to go get him, and runs, and it cuts to him bouncing off of things, and it's clear. Spider-Man goes, here I go, and then you go, I'm watching the video game.
Like, he's CG, but it's still...
It's a little better.
It's way better.
Yeah, I know. I'll say that the CG where he, pulled the car up onto two wheels, that was pretty all right. Although that maybe it wasn't CG, maybe that was him and wires and a fake.
Well, what's weird is they gave him a physical suit, but it wasn't as cool, and so they had motion capture dots all over his suit. So it's a real actor, and then they rotoscoped the entire suit on top of him, like a cooler looking suit. And I was like, why would you do that?
Oh, that's crazy.
And it looks real, but it's just why?
Makes us like one of the FMV PC games in the mid-90s, yeah. Yeah, not nearly that bad, but yes. There was a video release on YT really examination of declining quality CG, just very valid points, so I'm glad to see it had millions of views.
I saw that, and it's true.
Yeah. But, what was I going to say? First of all, it got me on its side within 5 minutes, because it name-checked Tim Hardaway, who's my favorite basketball player from... Because it was Oakland in 1992, and he played for the Golden State Warriors in the early 90s. Run TMC.
This is like you going downstairs and saying you beat that boss to a crash.
I know. Okay. Just.
I understand it, and continue.
Yeah. How do you see CG crash and burn? I mean, it is, and we've said it a million times, and I think a million people have said it a million times. CG absolutely has a place, but use it to shore up what you cannot do.
I just watched
with
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo for the umpteenth time, and that's how you should be using CG. Fincher uses it in a way that you're like, what? That was CG?
I know.
And it's beautiful because you don't realize it.
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting. Sometimes CG works because you don't expect it to be CG, and so your brain just
But you should use it to enhance.
Absolutely.
He uses it to fit a matte painting, like you would a matte painting, or just because he doesn't like such and such in this aspect of the he uses it in really minuscule ways.
Absolutely. And then entire opening sequences where it goes through a table and through a wire and through But that's awesome because
he's the only guy who actually he
does that and pulls it off.
And he did it in Panic Room
definitely
a lot, but I appreciated him doing it because he
maps out the whole house totally.
The spatial awareness.
There's an effect. No, and the thing is that is I don't mind that at all because it's well done and you watch it and it's distinctive and it's a thing that you can parody because it's so distinctively David Fincher. And when someone else does it, you go, you can't do that.
You can't do that
ever.
It's like Bullet Time.
You are not allowed. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because The Matrix did Bullet Time and then no one else ever did Bullet Time, and everyone was very respectful. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were 5 minutes after The Matrix was released, and there had only been 3 other movies that had already copied Bullet Time. Bullet Time!
I remember when I'll tell you this much, though, it worked
series.
Because I went and saw Wesley Snipes' Art of War a year later, and I only went and saw it because they had a Bullet Time shot, which this is a movie firmly grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And there was a Bullet Time shot in it, and I was like, I'm going to go see that movie.
Yeah, totally.
And I did, and it was terrible.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
Was it really?
No, it was awful.
We're going to have something called Knife Time. Game of Thrones and some really bad stuff. There's some good. Yeah, I remember that movie. This is the good one. Me, a film. Literally. Oh, well, White Wampa. You sound like you know what you're talking about. I'd love to hear more about that good movie. Like a big draw, I feel, is people with the papers and read the papers, watch the $200 billion production, so they need to justify that with CG. Sure, fair. I'll say that I was watching season 2 of Game of Thrones, and spoiler for season 2 of Game of Thrones. There's a point at which she's holding. There's a dragon. There's a little baby dragon on her. Spoiler: the mother of dragons is the mother of dragons, and it's a little dragon. And I fully expected it to be terrible. And I was like, "That's better than I expected."
I remember
for
that.
2009.
And it was pretty darn good, especially for back then. Yeah.
And I'm sure they were like, "Look, we fired Sean Bean, and so that we could have this shot. We got rid of his contract so we could have this shot."
He was like, "For England, James."
Like, and so they it worked. But yeah, like, and like the first Iron Man movie had truly some of the more stunning special effects that I had seen at that time, and it was because they did the Jurassic Park thing. They had puppets, they had whatever, they practical, and they matched it up with CG. There's CG that has worked in the past. Like backgrounds are generally okay. That's why I was surprised that Black Panther was so. The ones with Black Panther
are
so
always pretty good. It's just
because they do it in when they go to like what is it somewhere in Wolf of Wall Street, and like I saw a behind the scenes video where they were just like, yeah, we weren't gonna fly there. We just papered up a whole we did like a whole warehouse in green, and we did it, and like my brain, and I'm sure it was like out of focus too. Like my brain didn't expect it to be that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even looking for that.
Yeah.
But the other thing is like. Most movies go like you said they use just CG to justify the budget, and then it just goes and we go, oh, here comes some CG. Here's this character they've been talking about. I wonder what it's gonna look like. And he goes and you go like, oh, the eyes do have a reflection in it, and then he starts moving, and you go like, that's a rubbery piece of shit.
I know, like
I mean, it's
like all the Hobbit movies.
Oh gosh, I never saw them, but just that shot in the trailer. I'll shut up.
I finally got around to watching the first 2. And I was just like, look, there's a lot of wonky stuff in even the Lord of the Rings movies, but like, it all looks better.
Yeah.
And everything looks super rubbery. Yeah. Like really rubbery.
Yeah.
And in that YouTube video that he was referencing, they talk about that, and they talk about like it's just crazy to me that in '93 they could do T-Rex at night in the rain and get his skin, like that shot holds up now. Yeah. Like it holds up, that whole sequence holds up.
It's incredible.
And the CG stuff, like when he passes in front of the headlights of the car when he goes to the bathroom, it's stunning. Yeah, and like they can't seem to get texture right. Yeah. I don't understand what that is and why they can't get that done. But then they do. I guess maybe it is literally just a amount of time you have on a production to get it done, because Golem looks great. Yeah, like looks great.
Yeah, and they have like a whole team assigned to like his head, and a team assigned to his arm. I mean, it's crazy. It's really something.
I watched a fascinating 3-part documentary series by Lindsay Ellis, who's like this film essayist on YouTube. That broke down kind of not only what happened with The Hobbit, but the motivations for why it turned in from 2 movies to 3, and all the political motivations behind it and everything. It was really fascinating. In fact, you should watch that. It's really, really interesting.
Is it the only video essayist I've ever liked was Every Frame of Painting? That dude.
Very similar.
Okay. Because I watch people who clearly have watched that and go, I'm a video essayist. And I go, no, you're not.
Yeah. No, or like you are. But I just started watching her this week, and I've been like just flying through her stuff because it's very insightful.
Lindsay Ellis is great. Okay. Hey, I also watched the Lindsay Ellis things. Great. Well, then I guess I should watch them. I'd love to do that. Time to do that.
I know. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah. We'll hold on. We'll be back. See you guys. See you guys never. We're about to do a 420-part takedown of The Hobbit, which I've never seen, but like I can do it anyway. I remember watching. First of all, I'm deeply sorry to this profoundly wonderful film and this incredible actor and my favorite director and this film, which does not deserve to not be talked about this long. Another thing. First of all, I constantly, like after this conversation, 15 minutes later, no, 5 minutes later, I will cease to remember that the Hobbit movies were made.
Yeah.
Second of all, I even further cease to remember that there was more than one.
Yeah.
I truly cannot believe there were 3. Like, I don't believe that. And I remember seeing the trailer.
I'll message him to you because you're gonna walk away from it. Honestly, I just felt terrible for Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
And the fact that he essentially had to shoulder that responsibility when he didn't want to.
Yeah.
But he was like, well, who else?
Yeah.
Guillermo's out. Who's the fuck's gonna do this?
Yeah. Yeah. Every frame. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he probably got some job. I mean, he was an editor. Nerd writers want to enjoy, but his are more shorts and focus on art and film history. I like that.
I would agree. Lindsay Ellis's stuff is like deep research. Like, it is fascinating stuff.
Oh, that's
like it's not just talking about the movie. It's talking about social context and political context, and it's about the movie, but it's about a million other things.
Right.
And they're like 30 minutes long. Like, they're really long.
Crap. Yeah, but great.
But they're great.
Crap. All right, well,
just like, honestly, you don't even need. I put them on like when I'm driving, and I don't even watch them. I just listen to them because you don't really need the. I mean, the visuals are great.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
All right. Well, I'll check them out. I'll start watching those right alongside Game of Thrones whenever I watch a Game of Thrones episode once every 4 months.
And then you got Heath Souls, and then you got Jeff Bourne, and then you got a stream, and you got this stream, and you got acting.
I got to make a living, and I got a family.
You got a daughter, and you got a wife.
But then, like, what's going to suck is I'm going to watch all the Lindsay Ellis thing, and then I'm going to go online and see everyone complaining about how Lindsay Ellis wrapped up, and then how they're
without question
have a
that's already going on.
There's going to be
a lot of people don't like her.
A petition to reshoot all the Lindsay Ellis shorts and whatever. I'm just talking about everyone who's talking about remaking Game of Thrones, which is the silliest thing I've ever heard.
Already?
No, not even remake. They wrote. Yeah, there was a petition that was signed by like to have
last season
to have
remade?
HBO reshoot it.
Stop.
Which is, I'm really glad that happened because it is when the world burns further than it has. Yeah. When we realize why we didn't deserve where we had gotten. That is going to be one of the like you plot that point on the string chart.
How entitled do you have to be to like look? I was deeply invested in Lost, and I hated how they wrapped that thing up.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's what they chose to do. Yeah. So who am I? Like, what are you talking about?
And there's just not a chance that I want to hear anyone who signed that petition talk to me about anything. Sorry, that's not fair. That's not fair. If you signed the petition, fine. But I'm just like, because they did. Well, the thing is, like, there was a Twitter account that was trying. I think I told you this. There was a Twitter account that was trying to gather signatures or whatever, or a Kickstarter that was trying to get people to remake The Last Jedi, or like a fan, like a remake, or like a fan remake, or something. And I was like, I can't even. Like, this is so. I can't even.
We loved it.
My gosh. Yeah.
It's the best one. Guess what, guys? It's the best one of the new ones.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like there are people whose political beliefs I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'm like, we're still friends and stuff. And if someone was like, I started a petition to remake The Last Jedi, I don't even care what movie it is. I would just be like, shut up. I don't ever want to be like,
no, you don't understand. You haven't heard my argument.
Yeah.
I'm owed that.
Yeah, and I go like, shut your mouth. And you go like, all right, cool, hold on. This didn't go the way I wanted to. I'm going to start another petition to remake this conversation with another actor. Because... Let's talk about this.
This movie does not need to be remade because it's perfect. It's a really wonderful movie.
Look at that segue.
Yeah?
Lindsay Ellis, eat your heart out. I don't know who that is. I do know who that is. Okay, so, first of all.
1964.
Yeah.
Sidney Lumet.
Yeah.
Rod Steiger in the performance of a lifetime.
Truly. One of them. Gosh darn it.
Truly. This brought him into the A-list. He's said that this is his favorite movie he's ever done.
Yep. And I've seen parts of In the Heat of the Night, and he's amazing in that.
It got me really interested in seeing him in other things.
Because Rod Steiger is Rod Steiger, and this is one of the reasons he's Rod Steiger. I mean, this broke him out.
But I know his name, but I don't know.
I know.
And this gave me no... because he looks so different.
He does.
That I was just like, I'm having a hard time figuring out what else you've been in.
He was a well-respected actor. He was a respected actor at this point, but this kind of like really gave him even a higher, cash, because he was like not cash, like cash, CACHE, like he because this sort of like propelled him into being a more taken seriously kind of guy, because he's willing to do stuff like this. So this film, what I just posted, this performance blew me away.
Me
Guys,
too, man.
I mean, it's incredible. And to me, and I love this film. This film is amazing. Stanley Kubrick, yes.
And it is an amazing film. I told him before we started, I was like, I really do love the movie.
Yeah.
I love the movie. I also think that I'm like, it's a great movie, but it's like with one of the best performances ever seen that
Absolutely.
makes it as good as it should be.
Yeah.
Because talk about a performance of a lifetime, like he's in every single shot.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just him for 2.5 hours. You don't get a movie of this length with this type of subject matter, particularly, and we'll talk about how internalized his performance is, and yet how he managed to make that fascinating.
Yeah.
But of course, this is his favorite. I mean, it's a great movie, but it's also, and it's an important movie. But he's in every frame. Of course, it's his favorite movie.
I'm gonna spam this, guys, a little bit. This is the Movie Clips YouTube channel selections from this film. You can open them wherever you are right now and watch them. They're like whatever. I would say, as we're watching it, as you're watching this and listening to us, watch those because they're incredible, and they'll give you a sense of the film. It's from 1964. It's black and white. It feels dated in the sense that, like, I mean, it doesn't to me. It initially, as you're watching it, you know, the first few seconds, you're kind of like, oh, I have to adjust to this. It's like in full frame, you know. It's the sound sounds old. Some of the acting is by the way, I think this movie is filled top to bottom with phenomenal performances.
Agreed.
But it feels like watching a play.
Yes.
Except for Rod Steiger.
Yes.
And that is not even a knock against the other actors.
No.
The actors are incredible.
Yes.
And it really makes me go, gosh, darn it. Like, that's what a great theater actor is. And also, we've lost a bit of that. There's this thing that we've lost that, and I mean, this is outside of the purview of this film, but there is a thing where people, you know, you hear like whatever, actors used to be able to sing and dance and whatever, but they could.
Yeah.
Like, you go back and watch like Sing in the Rain or something, and like all of those actors can do everything.
Yeah.
The acting is slightly a different style, but they're still very, very trained actors. There is a difference. Some of the actors who get held up as like legendary, craftsmen of the trade are people who can do theatrical things truly, you know, like with an air of truth.
Douglas
but that is
one of those guys to me who could always do that thing where he did the big macho style acting, and yet he always, and that acting of the time, but it still always felt completely grounded. Like Paths of Glory really does kind of have some old school style acting in it, but it's truthful all the way through. It is an interesting thing, particularly in the 60s when you were seeing that transition from that style of like overtly theatrical performance, like your Rebels Without a Cause type thing and stuff like that, and then getting into more method, realistic type stuff from like Five Easy Pieces onward and whatnot. Right. And just seeing that, and like this is like a perfect blend of it, because it makes his performance heightened and even better because the world he inhabits, all the characters are acting in that overt.
It is honestly,
style.
It might even be a genuine, like a calculated choice.
Like a calculated choice, yeah. You
might be right. Because Sidney Lumet is a fucking genius. Yeah. And he is a genius in the way that you see things and go, oh man, that worked, and that's so funny that worked. Mm-hmm. And he goes, you think it's funny. You think it's an accident. Okay. Yeah. But Sidney Lumet is a gentleman. And it's
the magic of movies.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, gosh, I love Sidney Lumet. Yeah, I just want to
Anytime I see a Sidney Lumet interview, his eyes just twinkle when he talks about movies. Same with Scorsese, but especially with Lumet, he just... I'm like, oh, you were put on Earth to make movies because like you talk about it with such a loving affectation.
And he just has a smile in his voice, and he's just wonderful. And he's just like
I want him to be my granddad.
I know. And he is whose granddad is he? Sorry.
You fart?
Sounds like it. I farted with my face. It's Jenny Lumet, but he's also whatever. Gosh darn, I can't remember. No.
When the movie started, I was like, okay, I see where this is going. It's gonna be like how got his groove back, and then the movie.
How Saul got his groove back. Yeah.
Not at all.
No, it definitely takes and it goes super dark.
It does start
later,
in a very odd. I was almost like, oh, am I gonna like this?
I know.
The opening was cool, and then it goes to the backyard, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, is this a misfire? And I didn't realize it.
Yeah. And the beginning, the opening scene is kind of like a little off-putting.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like that very new wave. This movie does have a high, like you could tell Lumet was watching a lot of French new wave stuff because like they do those jump cuts and those splices of frames of like Holocaust imagery and stuff.
But it's great.
It's great.
I mean, it's so effective.
It's like there's a direct correlation from that to like Jean-Luc Godard. You know what I mean?
Joker will be the pawnbroker of our generation. I don't know what that means. I haven't seen Pawnbroker. You know, honestly, if they took any inspiration from the Pawnbroker, if they took that, I mean, first of all, I feel like, yikes, tread lightly, because you don't like go like, cool, we're gonna make a joke. It's like the Pawnbroker, and it's like, well, the Pawnbroker deals heavily with the Holocaust, so you don't want to go to
the first movie to deal with the Holocaust.
Yeah, is it
on film? Yes,
it is.
Yes.
Okay.
To visually show
the
camps.
I suppose like Judgment at Nuremberg or something.
Which camp was it? Was it Auschwitz or Birkenau or?
I cannot remember.
But
I don't know.
It was the first one to visually show the camps. Yeah. One of the first like mainstream movies to deal with the Holocaust. Yeah. And the first movie to have nudity.
Yes.
Post-production code, but also one of the first movies that led to the eventual production code's downfall.
Exactly. Well, it was during the production code, I thought, and it was like, and it
yes,
was, yeah.
Yes,
and so it was one of the first that the production code, because we talked about, you remember way back, and some of you guys weren't
in like
here.
episode 1.
Yeah, we talked about the Hays Code and how it was, because before it was the Wild West, and then they just kind of started going like, you know, your bad guys can't win. You're this, you're that, blah blah blah, and it was very, very, very kind of. And they allowed this nudity. They allowed it, and they actually made a public proclamation that they were going to.
Yeah.
Like they were like, ah, like before anyone says anything, we know that this is gonna happen. So like, you know, it's like a teacher being like, I'm still the boss, but this is good enough that I'm letting it in this situation. Right. But then still, it kind of helped. It didn't matter because people were like, well, Pawnbroker did it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're like, shut up, Pawnbroker did it.
It's when you try to apply those type of rules to any type of moral, like it just does. It's not going to work.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Halfway to Eaton Park, realize you have no money in your account. So, sorry. So just you only get to do the parking part. What is Eaton Park? Because it sounds like you Eaton Park. Unleash the Dutch Angles. Yeah, I was definitely getting theater vibes at the start. A lot of broad acting, definitely. Oh, at that first scene, yeah. But like it starts kind of like baking into your head this sort of like loud, you know. I mean, his disconnection from the rest of the world. Because even specifically, I didn't even think about it until you said it, but like his acting style is so different from everyone else's. And there's this kind of like, especially at the beginning, this like shrill kind of like, oh, this, and you're just like, shut up.
Yeah.
But it's on purpose.
I wanted to punch his daughter, who took the son's painting.
His niece or whatever. Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, look, he's trying to turn it." And I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't come back. Luckily, she doesn't.
Yeah. Denny's is nationwide. Wait, up here. Wait, what's up this way? Where are you? Almost felt like an old-timey Spike Lee movie. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Gosh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Dang. Oh man, that would be an interesting double with like Do the Right Thing or something.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. That's really interesting.
And it really does.
Pennsylvania.
It's interesting. I see what you're saying when you say it's like it has that kind of older feel to it, like the sound and the photography at first, and
But
then
then
like, the acting style. But then it feels a complete product of 1964.
Yeah.
Which is those like that's why I love the new Hollywood movement, because they were shot so low budget that like I'll put on French Connection constantly in the background because I just I'm like that's what 19.
You just like babies in peril.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
I do. I like my stakes high.
Yeah.
But I just love watching movies where I'm like, oh, that's 1971.
Yeah.
You know, that's just what that looked like.
Totally.
Because especially New York at that time, before they cleaned it up, it was fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, it's really like comic booky in how in real life it was gross.
Yeah, because it's Harlem now. I mean, sorry, it's Harlem. It's Harlem in this movie.
Harlem in the movie.
Yeah. And then Harlem now is like Hipsterville, kind of.
Right.
Yeah, because like Bill Clinton moved in, everyone was like, let's, whatever.
And
got,
like
got all gentrified.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love movies that let me visit these places during iconic moments. Absolutely. And Sidney Lumet, by the way, if we haven't said this yet, is like, I mean, people think of Scorsese as the iconic New York director, which is totally fair, even though much of Mean Streets was shot in L.A. But Sidney Lumet is like the other New York. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of New York directors, like Abel Ferrara, but Sidney Lumet is like a New York dude, like just tons. And this is another New York movie.
But you know what I liked about him is that I love Scorsese. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, working filmmaker. Yeah. I like that his stuff is New York, but it's not. It's New York. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You
just have to think about it for a second, because the story's at the forefront.
Like
and then you go, that's a New York one too.
Most Scorsese movies in New York, it's like a celebration of New York. It's not pandering or anything like that or in your face, but it's just like he loves New York and he really celebrates it. And it's not like he's just showing all the hot spot or tourist attractions, but like there's just something different where with Lumet, it's just so.
It's a background character.
It's a background character.
But in Scorsese, it's a soundtrack essentially. Yeah. I mean, it's
agreed. Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
Apparently, the new Joker movie Phoenix is supposed to be very imitative of Scorsese style. Yeah, wasn't he a producer on it or something? Holding your breath on that one. Yeah, I don't care anymore. I can't. Who cares? I'm still shrinking.
I keep getting taller.
I know. It's because your back hurts and you're holding it straight.
I do have a pillow. Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna do this. I just can't. Like a superhero movie gets announced and I go, great, cool.
Oh, I'm over the superhero movies. Yeah. Even Endgame, I was like, it's great.
Yeah.
What happened? I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. One in
always.
Year,
always Marvel. Marvel, these wonderful little packages of Skittles that I'm like, man, I put them in my mouth and I go, Skittles are fun. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with them. And they're made exactly the way Skittles should made. Yep. It should be made, and they're tight, and they're exactly what I want. And like
they always taste good.
I was trying to make tight is a weird way to describe Skittles. I was trying to make the all right, okay.
They are tight.
Skittles. Good to yell. Yeah.
Yo, where's my little Skittle?
Yeah. Okay. Feel like that's okay. Yeah, that's good. And then
moistened
compact. Moistened. This is good. This is a good thing. And yeah. Got it. Oh, what is it? Whoa! There's tropical Skittles? Excuse me, garden variety Skittles. Get over here. Yeah, passion fruit. Oh yeah. It's slightly different orange.
Do you remember the Skittles gum? But it wasn't Skittles gum. It was like it had the zebra. Is it just called
fruit stripe gum?
Fruit stripe.
Yipes. Stripes. Fruit stripes gum.
Yeah. It's good.
It's cool. Yeah, man. Yeah.
It didn't last.
We
long,
agree
though.
on stuff.
I liked it, but it was always that gum. I was like, well, if I get this, I'm gonna have to chew like a piece every 10 minutes.
Yeah, because it's 4 seconds and it's gone.
Yeah.
It's because it's just like, dang, Skittles. Oh, I'm too. What are we even? I don't know what we're talking. Oh, look, second.
We really are doing this movie disservice because we cannot stay on topic.
No. But like, yeah. But fruit stripes gum, all gum, besides like some gum, loses its flavor immediately. All the like bubble yum, like all of it.
Oh yeah.
But
like
bubble yum
hyper
sounds a little-
sugary.
But Fruit Stripes gum, agreed, is like
it's in your mouth
you go,
and then it's gone.
You go, oh, that's a taste of.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's the.
It's the complete polar opposite of like an everlasting gobstopper or whatever you call them.
It's the sparkling water of gum. Except that sparkling water didn't have a flavor.
It's the kundun of gum.
Ah! I think that was. Yeah. Yeah, Scorsese! You tried to make a real movie about stuff you care about. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. You've seen it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Love
There you
it.
go.
Lovely movie.
So we're disrespecting the pawnbroker. We're disrespecting Kundun. Let's throw silence in there. What else? What else? Also known as ephemeral gum. Yeah, that's
Look,
true.
here's what happened in this movie.
Another touching filmographic tribute, filmography tribute to a desperately tragic movie. Deakins worked on Kundun. Absolutely. Kundun,
Yeah.
I liked it. Hey, Marty.
Dude,
What is that from?
Sopranos.
Oh, there we go.
It's great. They had like a Scorsese look-alike. It was great.
Oh, really?
Um,
Chew 5 gum
Look,
represents for a few seconds.
we got to talk about this movie.
We do, and it's
It's
fantastic.
about the
and I love it.
Holocaust. Let's get with it.
So basically, this movie is about I can't say Holocaust survivor so soon after saying Fruit Stripes gum. Son of a.
Guys,
Hold on,
put
we'll be back.
No, we got to put that on a T-shirt. I can't
Gosh, this
say
is so
Holocaust
awful.
survivor.
Gosh, this is terrible. This movie is fantastic. It is about a Holocaust survivor who obviously and sees horrific things in the Holocaust,
Yes.
including the death of 2 of his children and the sexual assault of his wife. He escapes, or
The wife
survives
does too.
until they're liberated. The wife does.
Doesn't the wife die?
Oh yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you said
on top
I
of the
thought you
sexual
said escape.
assault.
Yeah.
and-
Right. And I don't know if he survives until liberation or if he escapes or what happens. I can't even remember.
I think it was. God, I can't. Sorry, we were planning on doing this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I watched it 2 weeks ago. Did he escape?
I don't think. I mean, they don't show that.
Yeah, I don't.
I think
okay.
if anything, they mention it.
Okay.
But I get the feeling that he survived until liberation, along with a woman and her father. The scenes with his wife at the camp are so hard hitting. Absolutely. Did they first show one late in the film? Yes. But it's interesting too, this movie, because it's one of those things. I'm shrinking again. It's one of those things where I'm constantly, by the way, in case you didn't know, constantly comparing our height.
Oh, I have understood your the complexities of your ego so much in the past hour and a half.
It really has nothing to do with my ego.
It's a visual representation of what you want your ego.
No.
Where you want to be.
It's merely a symmetry thing. I think it's odd if one of us is taller or shorter. If I was taller,
this
I would
is how
keep
much it
making
bothers
myself
you.
small.
You can't talk about the Holocaust.
I know.
Because you're getting distracted with how short you look.
Darn it! Yeah, this is the worst. But so he gets to, he becomes he makes it to New York. He becomes a pawnbroker, because as he says later in the movie, the only constant besides Einstein's speed of light, is money. Which is interesting because this film plays with ethnic and racial stereotypes in a very interesting way.
Mm-hmm.
In that it kind of presents them, and so it just sort of, it kind of goes. There's some ways in which it goes. Yeah, we're gonna take that and address it head on, or we're just gonna.
I read about it afterward because
because there's some things. There's some times where you're like, oh.
Well, it's interesting because I think he even gets accused of being racist at one point by his shop worker who is.
Yeah.
What is he, Cuban?
He's
or Mexican?
He's Puerto
or
Rican.
Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And
I just have to. Come on! I gotta get you in trouble too. No. Yeah.
and he stalled me.
Sorry. No, you're right, because he says he calls him a creature. He calls him a creature. He goes, why you call him creature? Because he's black, and he goes, no, not because he's black. I don't see race. I don't see creed. I don't see this. I don't see that. They're all equally scum. And
which is what I felt like it.
And it kind of does. That's where it addresses it.
That's what I felt like the
right.
film's worldview was. But then at the same time, and I read up on it after that because I wanted to know, there's essentially a pimp,
Yeah.
played by a black man,
But he's
and then 3 black guys
True.
rob the pawn store later in the movie.
Well, 2 black guys. One dude who is like a strong Jamaican accent, and then Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It's Flea.
It's
not Flea. It's Flea.
Because is Flea in Back to the Future?
Yeah.
He's in one of them. That is Flea, though.
He's in one of them, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's in The Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, Flea's an actor. He's in Point Break as well, I think.
Really?
I believe. Right? Isn't Flea? I've not seen
We're not
Point
getting
Break.
sidetracked with Flea again.
Yeah.
But he did look just like Flea. And I was like, oh, that guy's like, he's just like a ageless, he just kind of ageless actor, musician who wanders through.
I mean, I don't know who this dude is, but like it's weird because there's this guy who looks exactly like Flea, who's not Flea, but whoever he is, he's the second actor who looks exactly like a member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, because Will Ferrell looks exactly like the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I have always thought. And finally, they
had to sit down on like Letterman or something.
Yes, they did. I was so glad when I saw it because I was like, I thought no one else noticed this, and
crazy.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Flea has a cameo in Flea in Fear and Loathing. Anyway,
Flea in Loathing. Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay. Now,
you read about it.
I read about it. There was controversy after the fact, and it did. And people did accuse the film of racial stereotype types, and I'm trying to. I think Lumet put out a response. I can't remember what it was, but it was tactful, and it was essentially saying, well, he was just like it's life, you know, and then like that stuff does happen,
sure,
and he's like, I felt like we tried to make our point pretty clear, but like also life happens, and they just happened to be like we weren't leaning into it or anything like that. But those people do exist, especially in Harlem.
It's clearly not. They address it, right? Then they go. They have another character call him out on saying something, and they do that in order to have this conversation.
Yes.
It's not an accident. Sidney Lumet is absolutely not a racist.
Yeah. I don't even find it tone deaf. Like I
don't either.
I think
it's challenging.
I think it was challenging, and
Absolutely.
I think that was the intent of it, was to force yourself to deal with what's happening on screen. I really, as a viewer,
and
I felt that's what it was, and so I felt like I expected to read that there was controversy, which there was, but I was like, I kind of felt like that was missing the point.
Yeah,
but I'm sure people could be like, well, you're missing the point, and I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, and you'd be like, well, by the way, Lumet is watching this from heaven and just loving all the Flea discussion. Flea voiced the crazy kid in the Wild Thornberries. Flea voicing the crazy anything in anything is, I think, good casting. Flea's great, but he's crazy. But he's not. He's just. Actually, I think he's a very sensible person, but he just comes off as nuts in a great way, in the best way.
Interview I've ever seen, he's always. I'm just like, oh, you're like the crazy guy, but like you come off as like super
incredibly
like,
intelligent.
You're
Totally.
Smart.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he can be crazy. What's your favorite World War II Holocaust movie? Mine's The Pianist. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good one.
I think mine will forever be Schindler's List, just because left a profound. I saw that at such a young age, and it is so documentarian in its approach. It's gorgeous. It's one of the most beautifully photographed movies ever, but it feels like you're watching a documentary. Yeah. During a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
The Great Dictator. That's a good one. I've seen bits of that. I avoided Schindler's List when it came out because I thought I wouldn't be able to take it, and now I got to adulthood, and there was not a point where which I was like, I'm ready for it. But then now it's been decades, and I'm doing a disservice to myself by not seeing it, and I need to see it. Talk about Schindler's List a lot, yeah. I mean, mine would be The Pawnbroker so far, honestly. Flea was your best man. That can't be true. Is that true, Fern? I mean, that's not true. But tell me if it's true. You've seen bits of The Great Dictator? Yeah. I've seen a bit of The Great Dictator.
Great Dictator is great.
Yeah.
That monologue about the mercantile heritage of the Jews. Yeah, that was one of the greatest moments in the movie, and it's the first time. So let's get into him as a character.
Because then he goes, why are your people so?
Yeah. And it's the first time in the movie that you see him explode. But let's set his character up a little bit. Yeah. I find his character and just the entire approach to his character fascinating, because it's like I love thematic representation of like what a character is like inside. And here's a guy who went through such horrific experiences that he buried himself in like a nameless pawnbroker shop in the middle of Harlem. And he hides in the back, essentially behind. They constantly show him through gates, behind bars,
a cage, in a prison,
in
absolutely,
a cage, yeah,
totally,
a prison of his own making, of his own willingness, and he's
which is accentuated by the black and white and the shadows.
Yeah,
and all
it's beautiful,
of
and it's very, very intentional, and it's wonderful,
totally.
And I love it. It's such a great visual, thematic representation of who this character is before he even speaks, really, because he literally put himself in like the one place where he's like, I don't want anyone to find me.
Yeah.
I don't want, and it's like, it's no one in particular. I just want to be left alone.
That's it. And he just wants to make money. He just wake up, make money that he needs to live and to support the people he supports, and be totally left alone and just.
He wants no joy. He's a ghost.
He's a machine.
He's a machine.
He's a ghost in the machine.
He's a ghost.
He's the machine ghost. He's ghost in the machine.
Yeah. But that is it. He is he is the ghost in the machine of his own making. Yeah. Like, that is a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Poetic.
Relieving when people treat cinematography like art. Yeah, some people still do, but some of these films are filmed so flatly without subtext. Well, a lot of films are like, I've seen, this is what a good movie looks like because I've seen a billion movies that look like this, and that's just, whatever.
Yeah.
He died in that camp. Absolutely. Gosh, that scene where the woman, so the woman he makes it out, and then a woman and her father, whom he knew in the camp, it's the wife of a friend, and they kind of have like a sort of romantic relationship, and he just goes over there and they have sex in order to
saddest.
Almost like
it's the saddest.
He lays on her, and it's intercut with the kind of like fun
with the joy.
Yeah,
it's just joy
of sex, which is a book.
Youth, joyfulness, and and almost
sex,
naivete. Yeah,
people. Keep going. Sorry,
but like he's naive and like he's unspoiled.
Yes,
and yet
it's such a stark contrast.
Beautifully intercut, and like you see these two people who really their romance is bonded through horrific tragedy.
Absolutely.
Like that's how they're and like everything about that relationship is just about what they lost.
Absolutely.
And how sad it's like this movie is.
And he clicks
sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And he closes the door on the father as he's first of all, tell me, he's like, you go and you're with the wife of a friend because you can't whatever, and you're not alive. You died in that camp. You just go through life. What are you? And he closes the door on him to just go and like have this biological semi-need. I don't even know why. Like it's just kind of whatever.
There's no joy, but there's nothing to it. There's no. It doesn't feel like it's born out of love or happiness or joy or anything like that.
It's just a. Yeah, I don't even.
It's reaching for like some type of like intimacy, but
or it's almost, to me, it almost feels like it's like this is what people are supposed to do. Like he's just like that. Like the Jesus is like he is passionate. He's ambitious. He wants to work in order to facilitate his life and to work to live. And then and Saul is like living to work, but not even that. He's just making money to continue this because what else? What else is he going to do? And he just not even what else. He just goes, I don't care what else. I'm just like, this is.
He's a man completely numb to his own life.
Yeah, and doesn't want to remember, doesn't want to feel.
He doesn't want to feel anything ever again. That's why he's so. This movie really, when you start breaking it down, it's so brilliant because like, being a pawnbroker, he's taking precious things from people, and they're trying to give him these stories of like what this is, and he has no interest. He doesn't want human interaction. $4, boom.
I mean, actually, that's more than I think. He barely said anything. I think it's high usually for most of what he was saying. Gosh, and like
he's like, I'll give you $2. He's like, it's worth about $12 or like $20. I'll give you $2. And it's what was great is in those early scenes is seeing those 3 or 4 characters come in, do the same spiel in their own way. Such desperation. And it's always the same thing. It's like, I'll give you $2. And then seeing them crack and then accept it. Because it's not a negotiation.
I love the lady who's like, man, I'll take it down to something. And he's like, go ahead. And then she's like, Oh, who wants to walk all the way?
Yeah.
And it's just so sad and beautiful.
Or when
And
that
all
crack-
of those
when
actors.
the crack addict guy comes in with a
man.
radio.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, sing
Yeah.
for me.
That
And
guy was amazing.
He was amazing.
I love that
He
performance.
it was stunning.
It was
stunning.
Truly, truly. And I love, I mean, the old African-American man who comes in and just wants to talk.
Oh, yeah. He was like, he's talking about
And he just has like all these like
Plato
high-minded, and he's like,
Apollo and,
my contention is, Mr.
he's like- and
Lasman.
then he finally,
Oh, Mr. Lasman, Professor Lasman, can I please? And it's just like
and he gets
just
fed
goes,
up with
"I'm
it.
sorry."
He's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
He's like, take a moment to actually think about what it is
For
you need
once
to
in your
say.
life
Yeah.
or something. It's so, gosh. And he just goes, I'm sorry to have bothered you, and walks off. And you know he's never going to see him again. And you go like that.
And what I love,
Sad man. He's in the same position. He clearly is sad and lonely and all by himself and wants to connect with another person who he feels like he can intellectually have a conversation. And it's almost like he's
like, what do
it's
you
almost
have
like
to
he's
sell?
studying to like, he's like, what is the
Yeah.
most engaging thing I can present to have? Because he just wants human interaction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the other guy is so shut down from it. He's like, just go. And
Yeah.
it's terrible. I mean,
And you
it's
think
deeply sad.
in a maybe a lesser movie, you keep thinking, okay, by the end of this movie, he'll have that transformation, and it'll be.
Thanks, Mr. Lasman.
It'll be It's a Wonderful Life thing
Yeah.
where he'll like run,
Absolutely.
And I love It's a Wonderful Life.
Wonderful Life is fantastic.
But that doesn't happen, and I had such a respect for
yeah.
the fact that it did not pull any punches, and it just let it soak. Like at every move, when I thought something, and they would even pause it and be like, "Here's the normal scenario." He finally bonds with the woman who comes in. And,
you think that's going to go well.
She reaches out to hold his hand. You're
And
like,
he just-
oh, they're going to hold hands. Then we're going to pick this relationship
Yeah.
up. He walks out of the room.
Yeah.
Cold.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that hand goes out though, and it's almost like the framing tells you, like, nah, man.
Oh
this is
yeah,
not gonna happen.
you know it. But I was
You're
like,
but
wow.
do it.
Yeah.
Because he went out, and I go, oh, you're gonna. Oh, dang it.
I thought maybe he would at least touch it or
Yeah.
touch it. But like
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry.
We're getting through. We're getting through.
But he did it. It was cold.
I know. It's so cold.
Yeah.
Relieving people of their jewelry, M. Block said,
Yeah.
and heirlooms when people, and the thing is, like, I again, with the caveat that I have not seen Schindler's List, I don't even know why, because there are things even in this movie that should have, I don't know that I've been affected as palpably emotionally by a representation of the Holocaust as I was by the scene where the people are putting their hands up and they're just taking the jewel. Their hands are up against the barbed wire fence and the soldiers are coming along. And it's intercut, you know, with the pregnant woman, the pregnant girl who comes in and goes like, she just goes, I want to borrow against
She thought
this
it was real.
engagement ring, and she's clearly pregnant. And you immediately get what's going on. And he goes, it's glass. And she's like, and she goes, and she just goes, glass? And he goes, it's glass. And she's like, said it was real. And then just
walks out,
shrinks away. And then it's cut. And then it shows that, like, I mean, those two, I mean, it's just, this movie is saturated, is the sadness everywhere.
Because there's no other way to approach
the production
such
design
material.
is
Like,
sadness. The sadness. The soundtrack is sadness. Everything is sadness. I mean, like,
there's a scene in Schindler's List that covers similar ground in the sense that like it's after one of the raids and there's like a 20-minute sequence of a raid in Warsaw, one of the ghettos in Warsaw, and then they show what they took, and it's just like there's a pile 6 feet high, 5 feet wide of just glasses.
Yeah.
And then another pile of just shoes.
Yeah. Well,
and then another pile of just rings.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, fuck, those are people's lives just put up in a pile.
And I started, we started, because I'd seen this movie before, but it had been years, and I sat down and my wife and I were watching it, and early on, like, there's that scene at the beginning, and they don't show you what's, like, if you don't know what the movie's about, you don't know exactly what's happening. You just see them turn and look and then be horrified. And then it cuts.
For that scene, I thought I was watching like a preview for something else because it's shot in like super slow-mo and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it uses modern techniques that you don't you didn't see 1964.
Sure,
they were using super crisp, super slow-mo.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was watching The Fall. Like it was anyways.
The Tarsum?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. And it's, which, gosh, I need to see that. And then it cuts. And if you don't know that it's what it's about, you don't know exactly, because Kasha was like, what was that? Was that a different movie? What was going on? And I'm like, yeah. And then they keep watching it, and then we keep watching it, and then he starts going through the city, and he goes past like a department store or something full of shoes. They're just shoes stacked up. And Akashi goes, "What is this? The Holocaust?" And I didn't say anything, or I was just kind of like, which is terribly rude, just for someone who just asked a question. So
hey, I'm talking to you,
and I go,
and you're like,
yeah, and you go, did you hear what I asked and you made that face? Yeah, no. And I'm honestly still kind of like, in part of the reason I didn't say anything or didn't really give her a good answer was I was like, well, I'll just keep watching or whatever. But like, I wasn't sure. Because I was like, was that a flashback because there wasn't a flashback. It was just in the things that he was looking at in the city. I mean, was it just sort of a foreshadowing of things that are in the city that remind him of? Because I don't know what the heck that was, unless it was like well, in the opening, he goes by like a department store window that just is stacked up. There are shoes stacked up. And I just don't know if it was like a closed store that was supposed to...
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
I think you're making that up.
I know you do. I know. I'm stuck on another opening. Gosh darn it. No, this opening is...
He's
entirely relevant.
He is kind of saying the same thing. He's like, the first 5 minutes, I was like, no,
about
this movie.
It's
But then he got to the pawn shop, and I was like, yes.
There's nothing wrong with this film's opening. It relates perfectly to the rest of the film and sets it up and comes back, and it's great. And it feels like
just like the other
just like many other films, not made by Michael Mann. Oh man.
Yeah, I agree. Schindler's List has some very good stuff, but doesn't go the distance like this. Yeah, I will say that I think Schindler's List to me is probably the most comprehensive in terms of like mainstream cinema.
Sure.
But I have issues with like the final. A lot of people do with the last act.
Huh. I think. Well, then let's get a Twitter account going and get it remade.
Boy.
By J.J. Abrams. Get some lens flares.
Needs more lens flares.
I can't. You can't. We can't make any jokes.
Stop trying to turn the Holocaust.
Good night, everyone. Gosh darn it, we can't.
But let's lens flares.
Anyway. Yeah. So there's Rings woman. So basically, it sets up that all these desperate people keep coming in, and they're all played by fantastic actors.
He's surrounded himself with beggars and people people desperate, like clinging, like selling important things to them.
Yeah.
That he is so emotionally cut off from anything and everyone that it's just such a perfect representation of his character.
Yeah, and
every single time he goes $2, boom, 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 stamp, 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 takes this precious memento that means a lot to that person, literally just stows it. He doesn't even look back. He just either hands it off or he just puts it over to the side. And, and what I also loved is that, like, the it's not spelling bee or orator guy who had the trophy.
Oh, yeah. That guy's interesting.
Because I don't even think they said what his issue was, but you inferred that it was either drugs or alcohol.
Was there something that...
I want to say that there was.
Maybe. You know what? Honestly, because of the... Yeah,
definitely seemed like drugs. Yeah, but that's what I guess what my bigger point is. I just loved how each
guy who was like very kind of polite and sort of soft spoken. And honestly, I don't mean this to be, but like because of the time period and because he was like he was very neatly dressed and he kind of was in whatever. I was like, is he gay? And he's ostracized because of that and needs money because he's been kicked out of his. I mean, I know he's an adult, but like, I don't know. That was something that occurred to me.
Why is he gay?
I don't know. I was wondering because I was like this person. I was like this guy as in contrast to everyone else who comes in. I don't know. He seemed
white.
The pregnant girl is white. Come on. But yeah, no, like, oh my gosh,
do it.
my goodness gracious, that is not what I meant. It is. Well, I guess this is the last anything that you'll ever be seeing from any of us. So we're just done.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But
I thought it was drugs. I can't. I want to say that there was something that alluded to that.
I think they maybe said something about alcohol. Maybe.
Yeah.
It does sound vaguely familiar.
But my point was that I just love how they didn't have to dig into any of them without just by how they reacted to what his stone cold demeanor was. Yeah. You could infer pretty rapidly. Some people more so than others, but you could get a real sense of why they were doing what they were doing, even if you really had to fill in the gaps.
Absolutely.
Like you really didn't know with like the black woman who comes in with the two candelabras. You didn't really know why she was doing it.
Yeah.
But
it
was just interesting to fill in that story for yourself. Yeah. And like I was like, oh, what a beautiful narrative device that you don't have to explicitly state it. But there's enough there through the sheer performance that you can apply.
And honestly, there's like, she seems like another person who like, I'm like, oh, she's doing fine until he goes, you know, she's like, I can get at least this much from whatever. And then he goes like, fine to do it. And she goes, oh, my feet are hurting. I don't want to walk all that way. And you go, oh, you're good at putting up a front, which is why you seem together.
Yes.
And like, you know, and every single one of those
happy-go-lucky, and then it is. It's all about that turn. And she's like, oh, I don't want to.
Yeah.
And then by the end, she's kind of just broken down. Mainly
but
not because of the money, but because she can't connect.
Yeah.
Or he's just not
buying
into her.
She's like, I feel sorry for you, Mr. Management or something. Yeah, it's interesting. What a miserable job. Yeah, he was acting nervously. Interesting. Well, because the other dude was clearly on drugs. The other guy who like...
I think that guy was actually on drugs. I think the orator guy was in withdrawal. Yeah, he seemed antsy. Yeah. I think that's probably what it was.
Then they all kind of like... It's funny because they're all putting on this brave face. And they're all kind of like, oh, hey, I just found this great thing that's really awesome. I'm like, I wouldn't have sold it, but like, hey, why not?
And that's the other thing is like, knowing that like, she's like, I found these, or I came across these candle sticks or whatever, and you're like, those are yours.
Yeah, totally.
And like the whole, like just the pride aspect of it.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's interesting, and I saw something. Good.
Yeah,
cool.
Ah!
Yeah, I know. And I saw something that hadn't occurred to me in seeing it the first time, but like there was something that drew some sort of conclusion about or made some sort of inference about this movie, drawing a comparison between the desperation of the people in the ghettos in Harlem and the ghettos that were affected by the Holocaust, you know. And it's like well, that's interesting. But you know, you don't want to go like, well, I mean, but the Holocaust is the Holocaust, right? But these people are obviously in hardship, and it's
just
Harlem,
suffering.
and
it's another form of suffering,
and it's a prison, and it's a systemic thing, and it's a cycle of not being able to. I mean, like, they're different, but there is sort of like.
I think that's what's so interesting. I don't think they're ever saying they're saying one's more severe than the other. I think what the tragic connective tissue there is that it's like, this is absolutely another form of
desperation,
this, and but it's just ingrained in our society. This is not even like, we can say that this is an absolute evil, but here's this other thing that a lot of similarities, but it's just systematic to our culture and our government and how we operate as a society and as just individuals, and it's a lot of similar patterns.
Sure, yeah, it is interesting, and
what a miserable fucking job.
Yeah.
And he seems perfect for it.
Yeah.
Mainly because he just doesn't. Let's talk about his performance.
Sure.
Because it's a brilliant performance, and it is completely introverted.
Absolutely.
Which is one of the hardest. The only other performance that I've seen that it comes close to matching this in terms of like an introverted character, and I guarantee you he probably watched this a bunch before he played it, is Philip Seymour Hoffman in Owning Mahoney, which he plays an introverted, near silent gambling addict who over the course of the movie just destroys his life. but he I mean, he wears glasses. He says all of 5 words in any given scene.
Yeah.
Like, and yet you feel the palpable nature of who this guy is and the desperation that's underneath his skin through just the acting.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with this. Like, I was so knocked out.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't know Rod Steiger. I don't know his history, and I haven't seen him in a lot of movies. Maybe I have. He just looks so different here.
Yeah.
But it was a marvelous thing because he couldn't show a lot, and yet he showed everything.
It says he removed 50% of Saul's dialogue from the script because he felt that he was so consumed by guilt he wouldn't want any attention drawn to him. So he absolutely has to. Yeah. And there are different times. I'm shrinking again. There are different times where he does kind of come out with it, like he's got the monologue.
And so let's go back to the Jewish monologue, because that is the first time that you hear him talk for more than 5 seconds.
Yeah, and he goes off on it, and it's
beautiful. Like it's an amazing.
It's very interesting
monologue.
Yeah, I mean, and it's wonderfully written. And this is one of those things. This is a script, and where it feels like a play, but you don't want something else. I mean, this is
it feels.
This is
it's very well written.
It's an operatic.
It
kind
feels,
of,
and it feels like
somewhat.
I'm like, oh, that's a very well written monologue.
Yeah, it is. But he's performing
he's performing the shit out of it,
and
it's so appropriate. They just found
Absolutely.
that fine line where it's like, I know this is. It does. It just felt like a really good play. Yeah.
It is. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was he's like, you cut that cloth in 2 and sell it and get the the penny, whatever, and he just has this, and he's like, and you don't dare, and his performance of it is virtuosic. It's beautiful, and he
it just boils to, like, it just keeps boiling up and up and
he's
up.
like, and you don't dare. What is it? You don't dare succumb to the temptation once to buy extra food for the table, or another piece of bread for the table, or a toy for a child. You just go out and buy another piece of cloth, and blah blah blah, and you don't dream
and
of this.
After 2,000 years,
you find you have a mercantile gene or mercantile, society or whatever. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And then and this and that and that, and then you do that, and you kind of cultivate or whatever, and then you get called a usurer and several worse words and blah 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 blah, and then. And
he boils.
And then it cuts. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It just boils to like this furious rage, and then.
Yeah, and he's like my people have suffered more than. Well, I mean, we've suffered historically. I mean, depending on how. I don't know, like in the biblical tradition, the Jewish people, suffered
certainly
ages and ages and ages and ages, and then the Holocaust and this and that.
And isn't that how he started it? It was like he was like, imagine going how many years? 3,000 years roaming without a land, without a home.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then he's like, and then when you take of that suffering and make of it what you can, essentially, you are, and you become successful. You are derided for it. You are called terrible names for it. It becomes a target for more hate. And he just kind of he says he says these words, these terrible words, and goes and then it's a weird cut because it cuts to Jesus, and he's just kind of going.
Yeah,
and it cuts back, and I was like,
I was
like, different take, maybe.
Who is that actor? No, I loved it because it. I just loved how he played that character because he played it so innocently that like it was registering to him that whatever he was saying. I think a lot of it might have been going over his head a little bit, but he was getting the gist of it. But he was speaking so fast and furiously that to me he was just what.
Why do you think he was going over his head?
You little dum-dum. But I think he was.
I will.
Well,
go ahead.
I shouldn't have said that. the way I said it.
No,
but I just
I
did feel like the intent there was for him to grasp what he was saying, but probably not the complexity and depth of like the emotional weight of what he was throwing at him.
Yeah.
Because what does he say after that?
He goes, you're a great teacher, Mr. Lasman. You're the best. You're the best teacher or something.
So maybe he does grasp it, but he's just wanting to, he's like, I hit a nerve. I'm going to get out of here. Because he like leaves like almost immediately.
Well, it's because I believe, I may be wrong, but I think that...
Or didn't he
Does
send
that
him
lead...
home?
Huh?
Or does he send him home?
Maybe. Because I don't think it leads into... Because there's another part where he goes, he's like, what? He's like, because it's the part where he's like, he calls him a creature. He's like, why do you call him a creature? Because he's black. And he goes, no, I think everyone is scum. And then he's like, but isn't everyone creatures of God? And he goes, or do you not believe in that? And then he kind of goes back and forth and he goes, what do you believe in? And he goes, money.
Yeah.
I believe in money.
Yeah.
It loses, and he has another great monologue about that. And that's when he goes, money, huh? And he's like, that's what life is all about. He goes, that's what life is all about. And he goes, that's the whole thing. And he goes, that's the whole thing. And then he just kind of,
it's like, I'm gonna go make some
and
money.
He just goes, and he's like, and then he runs off. I mean, he's so led by him. He definitely, he says it. He calls him his mentor, and he buys into that 100%. Like, he's just like, I want you to teach me how to get what you.
Oh, he's in
gotten.
hook, line, and sinker. He's just
totally.
like, I don't even care. Like, I'm not even gonna look into right or wrong on this. I just know you're good at your job, so I want to know the ins and outs of this because I don't. Because it's almost like he cuts his moral complexities down. Like, he's just like, things get real simple for me. He's like, I want to be successful. Yeah. I want money. Yeah. He's like, I don't want to do crime. Yeah. But I'll do whatever it takes within a normal job, a respected job. And I'll screw anyone over for, you know.
Well, because isn't he talking about, like, he's because he talks about his uncle or something who has like or his cousin who worked for years in his dad's like grocery store or something and then inherited it. And he's like, that's the dream. And he's trying to go straight. Like, he's in this same soup of desperation as everyone else in this. And Saul is above it because he has this, because he's a university professor and has this background in gosh, I don't know, economics, mathematics, I don't know, whatever it was, but he, has that whatever and got into it, and he just has this job, has this steady paycheck that's working for him, in as much as anything else in his life is, and then Jesus is like, I want that, I want to go straight, help me. And he sees that, and he's ambitious, and he's on his way out, and he's our golden boy who we're going to be like. He's going to rise to, which of course, goes the way everything else in this movie does.
Black said he has a PhD in Pawnbroker.
Yeah. But I like what you say here, and I feel the same way, Black. And to be honest, it was illuminating to me to hear that history of the Jewish people be stated so concisely but comprehensively. And it's stuff that you kind of like, because that brings together a lot of things that I've heard and have obviously do not.
And it also, but it provided analogies with the cloth and how, and it's just like it was wonderfully written.
Absolutely, this is especially interesting in that it's set in Harlem in light of the Herero and Namakwa genocide, which was basically a dress rehearsal. What are those? I've never heard of those. Goodness. Whatever it was done intentionally, it was more so looking to show the systemic issues in the West.
Oh, I would love
what will you, Tarkovsky?
I'm going to look those up. Later.
Was a campaign of collective punishment that the German Empire, undertook in German Southwest Africa. Goodness. Oh, now Namibia against the Over Herero, the Nama, and the San. It is considered the first genocide of the 20th century. It took place between 1904 and 1908. Oh my gosh. I've literally never heard of that.
Man. And then when was... so that's 1904 and 1908. World War I is 1914 to 1918.
World War I, and then,
Oh, they were just... going around.
So many genocides people haven't heard of. That's absolutely true.
For sure. Modern ones today.
Yeah. Goodness.
Oh, yeah. Now. Yeah. Eventually, he.
Go ahead.
What causes it? So amidst all this, a woman comes to.
She's asking for donations for a basketball team. For a basketball team?
Is she part of public schools or
just
the neighborhood in general, or I can't remember. She said she does. But she comes asking for a donation. He gives it to her. Yeah. He's just not nice about it.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, you don't need to butter me up, essentially. You can just ask. If you want money, just ask, and I'll give you money.
This is my first filmography stream. Are they always this depressing? And MLX says yes, but not because of the movie. No, they're not always this depressing. Sometimes they're quite fun.
This is just a really, really, really sad movie.
But it's a fantastic one. I was just watching go John about the Jim Jones massacre. Would that be considered? I think that's different. It's part of the sort of cult mass suicides.
I did a deep rabbit hole on him, and I watched a bunch of documentaries on that entire thing, and that was like, they have the audio of him, like when he's like, because a politician came and they shot him, and so he knew, like within minutes of them shooting the politician on the runway, word got back to his camp like half a mile away. He was like, it's all over, and like they have audio, and it's like, it's all over. We say we have to start.
A politician came to like try to broker a peace, broker an
and it went south, and then one of his guard guys ended up shooting him, and two other people, and so there's audio he was recording, like speaking to his followers, and then when he heard, he was like, it's all over, so like, everybody line up over here, everybody line up, women and children too.
Oh my gosh.
And they just start feeding them Kool-Aid.
Oh gosh.
Prepared, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy.
Genocide is wiping out of like that. Well, but I also believe that it's
I think there was more than 1,000 at Jim Jones.
But I think genocide usually is sort of almost the entire wiping out of them, or
the
large scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. To erase, or just remove a group of people that are bound by ethnicity or religion, or some sort of. Whereas I mean, I guess you could potentially argue, but I mean, they were people who came to the cause semi-voluntarily, or they were hypnotized. I don't know.
Well, it's a lot of brainwashing. A lot of people wanted to leave, but they couldn't.
Oh gosh.
Especially when they moved down to South America.
Mass murder on any scale is abominable. Absolutely. I mean, the taking of any life. I mean, goodness, yeah.
But so this woman shows up, she's asking for an donation. He's really cold to her, and she
kind of...
But he gives her the money.
And she sort of kind of scolds him a little bit.
She scolds him. She's like, I don't... Blah, blah, blah,
she's like, but I'll be back because you gave me the money.
Yeah.
But...
And then she tries to, like, open up a dialogue, and she's like, I would like to have lunch with you.
Because she comes back to apologize.
I'll make a sandwich, yeah.
She says,
like,
I was
sorry for
curt.
Being curt,
yeah.
She's like, meet me in the park one day.
You must be joking, Mrs.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm giving him a Hannibal Lecter voice.
It's actually pretty good. Okay. That's kind of how we talk.
Okay.
They meet at a park.
Perhaps I should bring some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
And she gives him a sandwich.
Thank you.
And she runs in. Oh, she finds him on the street, and she's like, "We were supposed to have lunch today," and he like completely forgot.
But he's there.
But he also. I think she just found him on a park bench nearby, like the pawn shop.
Yeah.
And
I did forget him.
Yeah, and then they have like a really intense. She's like, essentially asking, why are you the way that you are? And what does he say? His retort
people like you will not leave me alone.
Yeah, he's like, yeah.
And she says, hold on, what is
the great scene?
Yeah, it's in the promo I cut together for.
I know,
which everyone saw. You guys all watched it. You guys all watched that promo. I can tell.
And so I feel like that conversation ended on a sour note. Yeah. And then what else? I'm trying to remember what happens next, because like he has a pivotal moment because he goes back to see her of his own volition.
Yes.
But it's after like a real like
it's after
really traumatic.
Yeah,
it's
after Brock Peters, who is the pimp guy.
Yes.
But who is also
oh my god.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean that scene, that actor. Goodness gracious.
Amazing actor. Was he in a James Bond movie?
He's the voice of Lucius Fox in the animated series.
Really?
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
He is amazing.
That whole scene was amazing.
He's also Tom Robinson in To Kill a Mockingbird.
That's what it is. That's where he's fucking brilliant.
Guy's amazing.
He's amazing in
what
To
a
Kill a
voice.
Mockingbird too.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What an actor. I want to see. Is he in what else is he in?
No. In Heat of the Night. Well, I haven't seen all of Heat of the Night, but Sidney Poitier is in The Heat of the Night with Rod Steiger.
I've never seen it. Heat of the Night.
It's great. I saw a scene of it in watching it. Like before, I was like, yeah, what else Rod Steiger? Because I'm the same way. I'm like, I know Rod Steiger is amazing. And then I was like, in The Heat of the Night, that's right. And I which is made into a TV show starring Carol O'Connor, which is a pretty
So
good.
that's what
pretty
I
good
thought.
match.
I always knew it as the show. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know until
In the
years later.
heat of the night. Yeah, but Carol O'Connor is honestly a pretty good match for Rod Steiger. But yeah, I watched a scene from it and I was like, oh gosh, Rod Steiger is
who did
terrifying and so good. I believe is it Norman Jewison directed The Heat of the Night? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We got to watch that.
Yeah, we gotta watch that.
Like, I want to watch that anytime,
Yeah.
anywhere. Super forward way she approaches him, kind of immediately tries to build a relationship, would feel really hokey if it weren't for how much Steiger was crushing his character. Sure, and she's great too, I think. But
well, I think she even says it. She's just like when she first meets him, I think she's overdoing it because she's like, it's not that easy. And she says, she's like, it's not that easy for me
to meet,
to go and ask people to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I get very nervous and I get very, and she opens up and she's like, I'm not, you don't have to treat me like some like dunce.
Yeah.
Because that's not who I am.
And I've suffered. She's like,
yeah.
I lost my husband and I've suffered.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he just goes, how, he's like, I think he maybe, I don't know, but he's like the temerity. Basically, he's saying the temerity of you. He's like, you don't know suffering.
Yeah.
You know nothing about suffering. And it's essentially like for you to compare that.
Right.
To, to.
Which is misguided.
Yeah. I mean,
but he learns that. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean,
suffering is suffering is suffering.
Suffering is suffering. At the same point, you're like, he was in a concentration camp and lost his entire family and watched it happen. I mean, I'm not. Suffering is suffering. I do believe that.
Yeah.
But in that moment, you feel.
Oh, you understand the motivation, and
you go like, yeah, you got a good point.
I think he also realizes later on that. Yeah. Because they do kind of mend the gap.
What's up, Heath? How you doing, man?
I think they also do realize that it's like, I mean, that's harsh. That's a harsh thing to say.
It is a very harsh thing to say. And suffering is suffering. And what is suffering to one person is, it's not, you can't compare suffering. But
you can't.
But like, you can't. But pretty close is going through something like that.
For him, he can say, he's like, I lost, 2 children and my wife who was prostituted out to the Nazis before she was killed in a concentration camp. And you're like, oh, yeah. And okay, so you do know suffering.
And this is systematic oppression that has happened to my people over thousands of years. Yeah. Again, suffering is suffering. Yeah. But I see where he's coming from.
But I liked that. I liked the complexity of him doing that because he, in his mind, and certainly at that point in the film, he feels fully justified in saying that. And in some ways, he is right. Yeah. But at the same time, I think later on, through having sheer sympathy for another human being, and identifying with and some modicum of which is like opening up to someone a little bit, you realize, yes, I suffered. Maybe on paper more, but that does not negate the loss of what you've
totally. And I think the deal with him is that he then goes to
when all hope is lost. Well, let's get back to
he goes to Brock Peters because I can't. I don't remember his name is, but he goes to the guy and who's like, you need to sign this thing, and
he's and at this point, Rod Steiger is like, I don't want your money because he's been keeping his shop afloat by being a front for a lot of his businesses. Yeah. And so every once in a while, a guy will come in and he'll sign a couple of checks and then he'll give him like $5,000 or whatever. Yeah. He realizes that if it's coming from prostitution, which he wants no part of it,
that's where we get the intercut.
And then Brock gets right in his
lays into it and goes, "What do you think?"
He's like, "What do you think this comes from?"
Oh,
it's an amazing takedown of a character who at this point has been essentially the domineering presence in any conversation he's had, where he's looked down on everyone else, and this time he's like, you stupid small little man.
And he goes, what he says it has this great, that's another great play-like monologue where he goes, are you the kind, and he's like, unless you're the kind of man who doesn't want to know things and doesn't want to feel things. He's like you're a whore. You whores? He's like I'm gonna tell you, and you should know, or something that like whatever percent of like a large portion of my money, most of my money comes from whorehouses, and you're living in a whorehouse right in the middle of it. Unless you're the kind of man who doesn't want to see those things or feel those things or know the truth or know what's going on. If you're that kind of man, then you're nothing, living on nothing. And Rod Steiger just crumbles.
Oh yeah, shatters
like a cookie. Oh my god! And I mean that
performance
stunning. And there's this very interesting thing that they do in that scene and maybe other scenes. And I'm not going to ascribe a particular symbolism to it, but it's interesting where and his eyes keep his wearing the glasses and they keep being filled with the reflection of light, and it makes them mirrors, and it's interesting. But then and I don't know if it's, I mean, at different points it could be emblematic or symbolic of his shutting himself off and not saying that. But then when that happens, and I'm not saying it's not a 1-to-1, and it doesn't. I'm not even saying there's a tight symbolism to it, but they're completely clear when you see his eyes, and he looks up at him, and they're just like, oh my gosh,
it's an amazing scene.
I mean, it's Rod, and that's the kind of,
and he breaks him down. He's just like, no, and then by the end of the scene, because he's fighting him, he's like, he's like, no, and then by the end of the scene, he breaks Rod Steiger down to the point
he's
where
like, say I'll sign it or I'll do it, and he goes
like,
louder,
and he makes him, he's like, yes, and he makes him say like 5 times.
I'll sign it, it's crazy.
And so, but what's interesting is after that,
he was branded.
After that, in very it is the most intense scene up to this point in the movie.
Goodness,
he's shattered. His whole
walks.
world has bottomed out. Where does he go? You think he's walking aimlessly throughout the city, and then you realize he's walked to the woman who asked him for money. He walked to her apartment, which she had given him as an address.
And I don't know I don't know how much he even realizes he's doing it either. I mean, at some point he does.
I think it's one of those consciously he's not, but subconsciously that's where he ended up, because that's the only person that
he's like, where
he's
can
got.
Because gosh, and then he's got that.
Which, how sad is that?
Is it before or after? Where is the scene where he gets the call? I think it's after that, because he's what am I saying? Not isolated. My brain doesn't work anymore, and it sucks. He has pushed away the woman that he had this quote unquote romantic ongoing relationship with, because I think it's with the scene.
Oh, her father dies.
Right, and she calls him, and he picks up the phone. He goes,
like,
"I'm sorry."
Who's gonna pick up the body and stuff? And it's like, I need help.
And he's like,
I'm busy.
Yeah, and then she goes, he's like, yes. He was like, what do you want? What do you want me to say? This and that and blah blah blah. And he just goes, well, that's what you. And he's like, and she's like, he's dead. And he's like, well, that's what you wanted, isn't it? And he hangs up, and then he has this wonderful moment. He hangs up and just kind of goes, and then he just goes, and you see in him, he's like, oh, I should not have said that. And then he just goes, too late, and you just go, no, man, that's where he is. This is his one connection to humanity.
It's
great. And that father, who again, they have that wonderful. He delivers this wonderful monologue where it's like, you're dead inside, you died in that camp, blah blah blah. That's Sidney Lumet's dad.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, who's an actor and director as well, Baruch Lumet, and it's oh my goodness gracious, yeah. Hey Wolf Rat, hey Heath, how you doing, both of you guys?
What's up?
How's life, man? And so having cut himself off from the scant, cursory going through the motions,
that was
on
like
paper human connection that he had, because he's like, well, if someone's like, who are you human connections? He's like, well, I've got this person that we once a week have sex with, and I lay on top of it, and then we get berated by the father, and then I leave. And he just looking, enjoying this deep intellectual discourse. Yeah, there you go. Thanks. I appreciate it.
And then he goes to the woman's apartment, and they sit on the balcony overlooking a very grim shipyard.
Yes.
And which she says she bought because she says something about she bought it for the balcony and the view, and the view's not great. But it's it's loud. But she talks about that, she addresses it and why that. I can't remember what she said, but.
And you just kind of go like, oh, here's the flower that grew from concrete. Like here's a bit of something that's gonna
someone who looks to the bright side.
And at least there's gonna be this moment of this burgeoning relationship. But then
and so they have this heart to heart where he kind of opens up about what happened to him, what's going on inside his brain. He's trying to kind of make sense of it as it's coming out of his mouth. It's a very fascinating thing to watch.
And it's and the performance there. He's amazing.
It's therapy where he's just trying to talk it out, but as he's talking, this is what's amazing about it. He talks And just like when you talk to someone and you're just kind of venting, and then you say something and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then he thinks about what he's saying, and they just linger on him while he's thinking about what he's saying.
Yeah. He's great.
And then they go back inside, and she tries to like open up a little bit, and she even reaches out her hand at one point, like thinking that they've bonded over their sadness and whatnot. She reaches out, and he just stands up and he leaves. And it's the coldest.
And it just stays in that wide shot. It's behind him, and he just go. Well, hold on. So it's like this, and he's here, except he's on that side.
Yeah.
And he gets up, and it just stays in that wide shot, and he walks over to that door, and then closes it, and that's it. And you go, dang it. And interesting. It's like emotionally, it's the equivalent of the sex that he was having with that woman, which is it's like he comes over and it seems like it's going to be something else, and then when he's getting all that stuff out, you almost go like he's getting this out, and it's about him getting it out, and she's just a person that he could say that in front of.
Yes.
And it's almost like he just goes, I
poured
this out, and it's not cold, and I mean it is
cold,
but it's not like purposefully cruel.
No,
he just goes, this is what I'm capable of right now. This is all I can.
It's like,
and he just goes, this is that, and he goes, I'm not ready to deal with that.
I don't think he is emotionally capable of doing anything else.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't have the social graces of having any type of bedside manner about anything whatsoever. Like that part of him died many years ago.
And goodness gracious, like it happens and it's devastating. But if you think about it for half a second, you go like, this movie does not end in his reconnecting and having another romantic, that's not what should happen. No, because that would feel incredibly untruthful. I mean, or just it wouldn't feel, unless we it's at the end of this movie that a true breakthrough happens, and then maybe sometime in the future something's who knows.
Let's talk about the ending. I'm probably gonna need to go in a minute because my back is killing me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about what happens at the end.
Ah! I will not be shorter than you.
Maybe I pulled my back, like I just elongated myself, and you're just like, something's different about you. It's like because I'm 6'4" now.
Yeah, you're like the kid in Rookie of the Year, but it's your spine.
Yeah. You know what I always thought was the coolest?
Wow, Jeff, you could sit for the Cubs.
Did you just say funky
butt loving? Yeah.
The coolest part, I want to know who the sound effects person was in charge of sound effects, because the noise that they made for his arm when it cranked back was awesome. Yeah. And every time I was like, he's about to fucking fire this thing.
I believe it.
Yeah. It's cool.
Anyway.
So the ending of the movie, though, the entire time Rod Steiger is preaching to what's the character's name?
Jesus.
He's preaching to Jesus that money is everything.
Jesus. Now you're being racist.
I was mimicking.
I wanted to grab the guitar and go.
This movie makes me uncomfortable.
No, I know. I'm just joking. Yeah. He's talking.
So he's talking to Jesus, and
go for it. Sorry.
And he's telling Jesus that money's everything.
Yeah, go ahead.
And he hangs on his every word, and so he immediately runs out. And the entire time he had a prior life to working at the pawn shop where he was a thug, essentially. Mm-hmm. And he was into a lot of riffraff, robbing, drugs, blah, blah, blah.
Street rat. I don't buy that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But look a little closer.
That comes out in 5 days.
Look a little closer. Yeah.
Let's go watch it.
I have to respond by the 21st.
When? Let's do it. I want to do it.
And then
yeah.
Review it?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay. Street rat.
Just a little snack, guys. If only they look closer.
Gotta eat to live. Gotta live to eat.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it.
Rip him open, take it back, guys. Gotta eat to live, gotta still eat. Your little friend, a boo. Ooh, oh, it's your allowed to set the pot out. Dun, dun.
Did you see the clip that they released of that?
No.
They released like a 30-second clip of that sequence.
Gotta eat to live, gotta still eat.
Yep. And guess what? It doesn't work. You know why? Because
Because
in
it's
the
a
animated
cartoon.
version, they're cutting to a million different people doing crazy animated things. Genies all over the place.
Yep.
In this version, it's like a parade, and he's at the head of the parade.
Yeah.
And he's doing Will Smith stuff.
Yeah.
Not jiggy with it, but like kinda. A little bit. They made They made it kind of hip hoppy.
Will Smith has been misused.
He's so talented.
He is.
And boy, did they miscast him in this.
Hey. This
Yeah,
is
we took a weird... We keep taking the...
Hey, babe.
And this is the last movie we need to be going off on weird tangents. We should not be talking about Aladdin right now.
Nope. Keep believing coming back. Yeah. Later, vape. Lots of love, man. And it's always something else. It surely is.
So anyway...
Yes.
You haven't been holding up your end.
I have not.
Circling us back into the
I
thread.
have not. Do I ever? I'm sorry. I feel like that's usually... No, maybe sometimes I do.
You have been purposely been like,
Yeah.
I'm going to really derail him right now. Here
All
we
you
go.
said was riffraff.
I think it's because you said it so quickly.
Yeah.
And you said it so seriously.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny.
Thank you. Thanks.
By the way, I just want everyone to know, every time I laugh, which has been a lot tonight, it is violently painful on my back.
Oh, boy.
It's like little needles going into my back. I don't even know what I was talking about.
You were saying, he says to Jesus, who
before
was a
I'm
thug.
gonna let you talk.
All right. Here comes some revenge. Who has been previously a thug and hanging out with riffraff.
No! Stop. It hurts so much, dude. This is the last kind of laughing that I
I'm sorry.
It hurts.
Okay, we're done. Drink some water. Drink some water.
Oh, you almost had a seizure because
Yeah.
you wanted to do it so
I
bad.
know.
Oh, man.
I thought you were laughing because did you catch the reference?
The what?
No, good, nothing. I'll tell you later because I am ashamed of myself. All right, here we go. He tells him what? What were you going to say? He tells
we
him. I know.
Been up for 5 days.
It's a Danny Boyle zombie flick in here.
Let's go pawn some stuff. Okay, look. They set up
Yes.
He's like, okay, you gotta, I can't.
Okay, so basically, he tells them money's the only thing that's important, right? And at different points, hope the thumbnail for it is Why? I'm deleting all of my everything. Deleting my channel.
That's probably what's
gone.
because we probably laughed
gone.
more this episode
No.
than we have in the past 3.
Have we? I don't. Yeah.
I don't know, but it feels like we've laughed way too much.
I feel like it's our normal amount
know.
of diverting and being absurd.
It just feels
you
inappropriate.
can't do it with this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it with anything. Anyway, so at different points, he is teaching him how to discover whether has anyone watched? Guys, watch these. Watch those. Watch them. There's 8 of them. They're all like 4 minutes long. Watch them.
What are those?
Those are all the movie clips of the
cool.
Pawnbroker. They're great. Anyway, so at different points in the movie, early on, Jesus is like, "Will you teach?" He has Saul. He's like, "Teach me the business. Teach me the business. I'm hungry. I want to make money and then go live my life, and get out of where I am." And Saul is like, "Here, I will teach you how to determine whether something is gold or brass or whatever."
Right.
And then he teaches him, and then he teaches something else. And at a different point, he has that. He goes, "What do you believe in?" And he goes, "Money. Money is what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Money is that." That might even be the first. I don't know. Whatever. These are different things. And then blah 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 blah. And so he has these interactions with him. And then at one point, he goes, I can't remember.
Well, the entire time he's got these 3 other guys who he used to work with and like
Right.
And blah blah blah. They keep egging him on the street. He's like, you keep working that square job, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And he's always fighting him off, like this is going to be my ticket out.
Yeah, and you meet them early on because they come in and bring in a lawnmower, which like the movie is telling us is stolen.
Well, he asked him, he's like, "Where'd you get it?"
Yeah, and he's like, "It was a gift from a friend, Mom."
Yeah.
And Jesus later is like, "I know those guys. That's whatever," and he's like, "I don't care. It's money."
But then once Rod Steiger starts telling him that he's like the key to everything is money. Money is really starts to question. He's like, well, maybe I need to. And he goes and and this is a huge part. And she's a tremendous actress. He goes and finds his girlfriend, and she's like, I'll help you. And she's like a prostitute, and she works, and you know what a prostitute does, and she has like clients on the side to make some money. And she's like, I can help us. We can make that money together. I can make that money by just doing private sessions or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, okay, maybe. And then Saul, they have a conversation. I can't remember what point exactly this happens, but Saul has a conversation where he's like, people are nothing or whatever. And I think it might be after that realization that he's feeding into prostitution, which disgusts him on a soul level because of what he witnessed with his wife, and the fact that he's, that there's that sort of not that symmetry with what's going on around him and the use of women that way. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's where he breaks down. And then at some point he has this conversation with Jesus where he's like, he said, people are nothing or something. And he's like, do you feel that way about everyone? And he's like, yeah. He's like, what are you to me? Nothing or something. He's like, I'm your student. He's like, you're not my student. You're nothing to me. Yeah. And then he goes, nothing to you. And he's like, okay. And he's had this idea percolating and boiling. But he didn't do it because out of respect and love for Saul, and he goes, "Okay, I'm going to go do it," because he witnessed earlier that $5,000 that Saul took from the whatever, the go between or the that he's being a front for this thing for this I can't remember the dude's name, so I just keep calling him Brock Peters, who's the actor's name, for his businesses, and he takes the $5,000, puts it in the safe. Jesus sees this, knows that that's there. And then when he says, you're nothing to me, he goes, all right, that's it. Yeah. I'm gonna go. This is my way out. I'm gonna go do it. And he goes to those three dudes, Anthony Kiedis, Will Ferrell, Flea, and the guy who sold the lawnmower, and says, hey, I know where there's $5,000. Oh, because he also like. He had alluded to it earlier. Yeah, because he goes, because they're like, you working for that pawnbroker for like what, like. He makes $800 a month or whatever, and he's like, try $5,000. Yeah. And then he's like, yep, shouldn't have said that. And then your movie watcher brain goes, aha. Yeah. I see where this will go. And he tells him, and he's like, if we do this, we're doing it the way I say, all the way to the end. Yeah, it really was. Yeah. And he goes. But he's like, no shooting. No one hurts anybody. No one hurts this man. And so they go, okay, cool. And he runs to them and is like, all right, we're going to do it. And so which is just, go to the pawnbroker's pawn shop and steal the $500 or the $5,000. And so they show up. They're like, hey, old man, open the safe. And then he's such at the end of his rope that he's like, he's like, and it's even cracked open. And he just goes, go home. Yeah, I love that part. He goes, hey man, it's open, no sweat. And then he walks over and closes it. Yeah. And then Flea goes, and he goes, hey uncle, you want to die? What do you want to die, uncle? We believe in nothing. And then he goes, open it. And he goes, no, I'm not going to open it. And he's like, do you want to die? And there's this very interesting part where Brock Peters is like, Brock Peters just sounds like I don't know, high school football star. Yeah. Brock Peters. Oh, there you go. What's Venom's? Oh, yeah. Brock. Is it Brock Peters? Is he named after? No. Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock.
There's
right.
Brock Lesnar.
That's right.
Brock Sampson.
Okay. Yeah.
Eddie
Anyway.
Brock. Topher Grace.
Which
Remember
is why
when Topher Grace.
when
remember
Topher Grace
Topher-
was Eddie Brock, I was like, you
Yeah.
are way too thin and spindly to be an Eddie Brock.
Remember when Tom Hardy and Topher Grace played the same role?
Jeez. Did you ever see Venom?
No,
Was it good? Oh, you didn't see it.
but no.
Okay. But it also wasn't good.
I mean, there's no way.
It didn't look good.
I'm sorry. I don't want to say that. I have no right to say that.
And it was the first time I thought Tom Hardy looked out and out. I was like, oh, this looks like a miscalculation. Because I love Tom Hardy.
I love Tom Hardy. I wish they would let him. They do the same thing with the.
He's fucking funny when he
He's
wants
great.
to
I wish they'd let him be charismatic and be him and be those colors of himself once in a while. They do the same thing with Ryan Gosling. They get him on set and they go, "Shut up, shut up, and look around a lot. Too much. Don't look around that much."
He's like, "Can I move a little bit?" And they're like, "No."
And you go, "Smirk, smirk, smirk. You can smirk.
Less.
Okay, you can't smirk and move your eyes at the same time. Don't. Otherwise, people aren't going to think it's an art film."
It's like hold your hands up.
Yeah. Otherwise, this is just a heist movie. It's got to be a heist movie where you don't talk and you shift your eyes, sort of.
Yeah.
And then you. Venom was his mouth. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. So
Anyway.
they go. He closes the safe, and he's like, "No, that's not gonna happen."
Bum-ba-da-ba-dum.
Solo.
He goes to-
and then
He goes to shoot him.
He goes to shoot him.
And Jesus goes, "No shooting!" Pulls the gun toward himself. He gets shot.
He gets shot.
Spoiler.
And he crawls outside into the front of the store on the street, and he dies.
Yep.
And I really, I don't know what I was expecting, but when he died, I was just like, oh, so this is just an out and out tragedy.
Yeah.
From,
It's that thing.
from all sides.
It's that thing.
They're not even
where-
gonna let the side character get his redemption or like whatever.
And it's again it's
it's at the hands of the protagonist. Like
essentially, yeah, right. Essentially, and it's well, I mean, and it's through his own doing. He also
yes.
also
Oh yes.
also that character betrayed himself before he died. You know
that's
what I mean?
true.
He was on this way out.
Yeah.
He was our guy that we could believe in. You know, sorry, because no matter what happens with Saul, even if he becomes a good dude, he's
Oh,
whatever.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew
He's-
from when the second they go in, I'm like, oh, this
Yeah,
is okay.
yeah.
So this is a tragedy from here
Yeah,
on out.
totally,
This is not
totally.
going to end well.
Yeah, he's that because you'll see movies do this, and I'm not saying because this is a fantastic film, but you'll see movies do this where they have bad stuff, protagonist, and then character who's gonna make it, and you go, oh, don't be the guy who's gonna make it, because then you're really not gonna make it. That sucks.
You can't be talking about how much you're going to make it because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you can't be our hope. You can't be the character who embodies hope,
Right.
because then
In a grim movie like this.
yeah.
Right.
Let's
But
not forget
he gets shot. He dies in
He did Tarkovsky.
in Rod Steiger's arms outside. Steiger has
It's that
this
thing where
haunting.
yeah.
I mean, the way he cries in that scene is so guttural, like horror.
Yeah.
Like just it's the look of a man who's just been petrified.
Yeah.
Like it is. It's very vivid to me even now.
Yeah.
Like it was unbelievable acting by him.
Yeah.
And he walks back inside, and this is a part I wanted to talk
Oh,
to you
right.
about.
It's been long enough that I forgot that happened.
So
But
he goes
yeah.
back inside. He goes behind the counter, and the entire time throughout the whole movie, anytime he takes an item from someone, he gives them a receipt, and there's two receipts, and he gives one to the person who gave him the item, and then he takes one receipt and he puts it on a little metal spike thing. He just sticks it on there. So he takes that metal spike thing and he
It's
puts his hand.
Chekhov's spike.
Chekhov's spike. Yeah. Get out.
Okay. Go ahead.
We are really coming to the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
He puts his hand on it, and I wanted to ask you, what was this to you besides an overtly religious allegory?
That didn't even occur to me.
What?
I was raised Catholic, and that didn't occur to me.
What?
Yeah.
Like, what else could it have been?
He's Jewish.
I know, but it's just like, that
Yeah.
is such a crucifixion imagery.
Fair.
Like, what else was it supposed to be? And why did he do
I
it?
didn't take it as that, and I still haven't heard you say that, even though that's definitely a totally 100% valid way to go with that. I don't know.
Because I was like, oh, is he doing it so he can feel something? But I'm like, but he clearly was on the sidewalk feeling something.
Yeah, but I think he just kind of was like...
He needs pain to match this physically.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's just sort of like a... It's one of those things...
Or it's to distract...
feels...
Oh, well, actually, that's a kind of beautiful in a really horrific way. Yeah. But, like...
Because he spiked a guy named Jim. Seems like a good time.
Yeah.
Scription. That's 1 O per month. Whoa. Subscription. Subscription. Thank you so much, Wolf Rat. Those 27 freaking months. Lots and lots of love, dude. My goodness gracious. My goodness gracious.
That's 1 O per month.
Thank you, my friend. Lots and lots and lots of love. Thank you, dude. And you're,
so,
and I think
he jams this spike on his hand
because I think it's the first time. I mean, he is truly.
Well, let me finish my thought. I think he genuinely. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's actually a beautiful idea that he's using it to distract himself from the emotional pain that he's now feeling.
I mean, I think because it's flooding back.
Yeah,
like he has stopped himself.
So the gates have been opened, which you see when he's standing over him. I mean, he looks just horrified.
Yeah.
And tears are streaming down his face. So he goes back inside. He does that to distract himself. Okay.
But
I love that.
But in the way, but it is the beginning. I mean, it's the beginning of his redemption.
Absolutely.
Because it's his opening himself up to all of that, but then opening himself up, and that's just gosh darn.
So it's actually like, I mean, it's
just beautiful
crucifixion, and then when he walks outside, it's him it's the 3 days later walking out.
So, oh my goodness. So maybe it is that. Maybe it is that because it can be both. Because
that would make it a way more hopeful ending.
Yeah, I mean, I think in any way it is. Like, it's
to see him do that, and then to take it in that context and see him walk outside.
Subscription. 9 months. Thank you so much, dude. Lots and lots of love. Thank you for those 9 months. Welcome back.
Sure.
I'm B A A.
Oh yeah, the bot is boned.
C.
Oh, that's too bad. No, yeah. Yes, the bot is screwed, but if you see up there, it says 9. It's been going on forever, and I haven't fixed it. Surprise! Imagine something not getting fixed on this channel.
Look, we're in a vortex right now.
What's going on with the green screen here? Yeah. So I think no matter how you take it, yes, like, I mean, it is this.
Hopefully, him walking out into a new world.
But I mean,
of his own making, like his new life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I mean, it also just kind of pans out and it's like, and the soundtrack, by the way, is great. I love this jazz. Quincy Jones, baby. And he, but yeah, so this opening himself up to all of that pain is also obviously redemptive because it's his opening himself up to feeling again, and then he just doesn't know what to do with that, I guess, and goes and
because Jesus died.
And I can't. Well,
I'm just saying. You don't think that's pretty over? I mean, almost.
Well,
really
I mean, if it is a thing,
crazy.
It's a redemption thing because, like, in that, right? Because it is
that's what I'm saying. Is right. Like, Jesus died, Jesus.
Oh,
died,
you're right, exactly.
And then the crucifixion.
You're right.
And then walking
you're
out
absolutely
the front door.
No,
like it's all.
It's got to be. That's the redemption because it's a redemptive act.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It recalls the biblical redemptive act, but then what? But that's interesting.
But it's almost like it's a modern take on that in the sense that when he walks outside, a new man, he's still shattered and broken, and it's like, okay, maybe hopefully, but who knows? Because he turns the corner, he just walks further into Harlem, and it doesn't look great.
No,
but maybe, but maybe just the sheer fact that he has opened himself up to any emotion, however cataclysmically painful, that's better than being a robot and being closed up to any emotion, which it is.
It is, and he started to with Geraldine Fitzgerald. I can't remember her character's name, but and then walked out on it. But then, yeah, this is like I mean, that's something that's going to stay with him. I mean, it's literally a scar, right?
Yeah.
That, I mean, I think, and this is, and it's because this person who was desperate, who gave him really, gave him a lot of admiration and love.
He was a good thing in his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
He ignored it.
Yeah, and then gave his life for his.
He also took advantage of his position in Jesus's life, because had he been a better mentor and just a better person in general and offered him better advice than that money and is the core of all, he wouldn't have gone and done that in the first place.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely. Because that also it shows that he doesn't, that's not something that he believes truly at his core.
No.
Because he's like, I care about this.
That's
obviously.
what he did.
And it just cracks that wide open. Yeah. Great. Sorry.
It's a great movie.
Absolutely. Would really like to be an emotionless robot. I can communicate via Morse code and not cry all the time.
Hey, guess what? Crying, it's good.
It is good.
Feeling sadness. I try to remember myself when I feel sad that I'm grateful that I get to feel this emotion. Yeah. Instead of feeling numb, because I have periods where I feel numb and I'm like, oh, I wish I could just feel something. Yeah. So you gotta,
yeah. That's what movies are for. Honestly, movies open me up.
Oh,
all the time.
Sometimes it's something that I've had to actually work on. Now that I'm in a long-term relationship, it's something that I had to address. Where she's like,
hey, 3 years.
3 years
Is
today.
Is that too personal?
No, but I had to work on that, where it's just like, oh, I'm only able to open up via cinema. That's not healthy.
Huh.
And I had to really work at that, where I could have logical discussions, but when I have arguments or anything, I tend to be very about it. Where I can talk about it and deal with it very logically and stuff, but I don't get hyper emotional about it. And then it comes out in weird ways later. Therapy.
It's a good thing. Be grateful for everything life gives you because you only get one. Yeah.
That's it.
Warfrat, I'll give you all this love and affection. Yeah.
Guys, check out the movie. It's amazing. It's a bit of a downer. But it's powerful. Yeah. And for movies, I always think it's a true testament of a movie that if a movie made pre-70 can knock you on your ass, then it with its power, then that means I'm like, oh, that's a powerful movie, because you don't have all the, I'll say it, the emotional manipulations of modern cinema. Totally. It's just sheer storytelling and acting, and you don't have the moving music usually to accompany it. The music in this is great, but it's Quincy Jones. It's jazz. Yeah, it's jazz music in this,
and it's not.
And it's awesome.
Yeah. For the entire movie, the pawn shop is a limbo and accepting suffering. The death of Jesus allows him to be human again, because it is through pain that we grow, and his inability to accept the tragedy in his life is what has prevented him from growing.
That's a very succinct.
But it's so interesting. It's so interesting for it to have an overtly Christian message. Not Christian, but is that just? Do you know what I mean?
What?
Because it's written. I'm assuming by a Jewish author.
Was Jewish.
Yeah.
I understand that. It's a Christian.
I don't mean Christian with the buzzword use of Christian.
No. But I mean that's Christian philosophy.
Christianity comes to Jews, absolutely, and Jesus was Jewish, but it's very Catholic in how you're looking at that. Is it? Please, fair. First of all, I'm a terrible Catholic. I haven't been to Catholic church in years and years and years and years, but I was raised in the Catholic tradition, so please explain. Believe me, I'm not. I want to know what.
Why don't you get off your high horse?
I can't. My high horse is much slower than yours, constantly. So hey, no, but what I mean is I don't mean like that's a Christian because whatever. I just mean like because the author it's a book and the author is Jewish. I'm assuming.
I don't know.
And it's all about the Jewish experience and about the Holocaust and about the fallout of that.
But this is a work of fiction? Or is this like...
It's a work of fiction, but
Yeah.
I don't... Yeah. I mean, he is Jewish, the focal race of the Christian faith, absolutely. His redemption comes via someone called Jesus, and greed and material possession is a key aspect of the story. It's hard to ignore the religious inference. Yeah, I agree. It's the boomer coming out all over again. Yeah.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Watch
It's
it.
a great movie. And it's the kind of movie where, like... I mean, it's the sort of movie, again, with so many movies pre... whatever. I mean, if your experience that you're drawing from, if your palette of film is generally stuff that's come out, post 2000, there are some movies that are older that you'll have that you might have to give a few minutes or give a little while or just be open to. This is one of those movies where I think if it's given a fair shake, there's no one that it wouldn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies.
Affect.
Yeah, like
in
this
a
movie,
significant way.
Paths of Glory is one that is from the 60s that has a same emotional power. Carol Reed's Odd Man Out is another one, and I just watched Carol Reed's The Fallen Idol a couple nights ago. By the way, I just subscribed to the Criterion channel.
Gosh darn it.
And for $11.99 a month, you get access to almost their entire catalog. Not everything, but they're updating.
Really?
They cycle through it, and it is utterly fantastic.
And that's brilliant. It's brilliant because then you go like, well, then you won't buy any more Criterion Collection DVDs, and you go, no, the audience they're marketing this to,
they're gonna do both.
We'll buy it anyway because you want to see it on your shelf.
Yeah, I do.
And you need that box art.
I know.
You need it. That box art is great.
They would make a fortune if they would just turn their box art into movie posters.
Dude,
I don't know why they do it for like a very few.
Is that
limited,
a different licensing
and
thing?
it's always like very small, like less than 18 by 24. I don't know why they don't do it because their covers are just phenomenal. Anyways, if you're into like older movies or just like artistic films, it's a no-brainer.
Shiny.
I have playing Sekiro. I have flown through Akira Kurosawa's catalog. I've watched 7 of his movies in the past couple of weeks.
Spoiler alert, coming up next month. We've got one more day, which we are going to discuss what to do with. We've got one more day this month because everything went freaking haywire and filmography went on hiatus. We got one more, but next month, filmography, we're going to be doing Akira Kurosawa, which is well overdue for me.
Yeah. It was well overdue for me.
Yeah.
I had seen Seven Samurai years ago.
Yeah.
And but I hadn't seen anything. I have gone through
Toshiro Mifune.
almost all the seminal ones of his so far. And yeah, just all right, okay. Yeah. So I told him, I was like, Toshiro Mifune is like has become a revelation to me. I'm so sad that I haven't. It took me until I was 32 to like realize that this guy was as brilliant as he is.
Yojimbo, baby. Yeah. What is like Throne of Blood? They're like
Throne of Blood. He's amazing. Seven Samurai. There's a movie that I definitely want to do. It's not a samurai movie, but it's called High and Low. It's a police procedural kidnapping movie,
Sounds
and
awesome.
It is amazing. It was honestly one of my favorites, if not my favorite.
I just can't wait to finally get some of these under my belt so I can just drop Kurosawa into conversations every day.
Just be like, what's
I'll be
up?
like, what did I just watch Kurosawa? Give me
What are you guys talking about, Yojimbo or Throne of Blood? Or...
Yeah.
Oh, what are you guys talking about, Ozu?
No.
You guys talking about Ozu?
Little Ozu? Little Yashijiro?
I find
little Yashijiro Ozu?
Kurosawa's a little mainstream for me. But Ozu?
It's a little flack 101. Gosh, if anyone gets that reference, do you know what that is?
What?
That's a little flack 101. If anyone gets that reference, don't look it up. If you get that reference, I will give you 50,000 fake Lobro bucks, TM.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that we do High and Low.
Yeah,
because that one is fucking, I really do think it's my favorite.
Food fight?
Kurosawa.
What's food fight?
I don't even know what that is.
What is food fight? You do not get that reference. I know. It's okay. It's all right. No one
He
does.
just talks to you like a child. I do not get that reference. Moving on.
You don't know food fight? Yeah, maybe. Let's just go with no. If you describe more, but it requires a long explanation. Okay.
I gotta go.
Yeah. See you later, buddy.
Oh God, my back.
Oh yeah, man.
Guys, I've been in pain for the past 4 hours.
This guy.
This last 30 was pretty hard.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pause. Hit the pause button here. I'm gonna walk this guy downstairs. It's gonna take 45 minutes. We're talking about high art movies and don't include food fight in the discussion. Yeah. What is Heath Souls? Again, this is something that we have to discuss because now we got Jeff Bourne on the.
I don't know if I'm gonna make him do Jeff Bourne because when you broke down what your schedule is,
Well, we're not. You can get some. Jeff
I'll
Bourne.
do a one-off.
Nah,
it could
bro.
be a long
Nah, bro,
5-hour one-off.
Yeah, because I need to watch you do some. I need to watch you go through.
Oh, so
some
this
stuff.
is like more for you.
I mean, it's for both of us.
You're gonna get like a sadistic.
No, I just want.
You're like, yeah, go in that cave.
They're just things. This is what we all. It's a. Oh boy, never mind. It's something that those of us who have gone through want
Here it
others to
comes.
go through, so that we can.
Here comes the soul splaining.
So that we. Can,
Here we go.
oh my gosh, that is a verb. That is a gerund I will be using. What do you think was in the drink? Huh? Oh, okay. Because when you go through it, you want to talk to somebody about it. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you went and talked, Taylor Washington, we got to talk to that dude.
Oh yeah, because he plays, right?
I think I
Has
don't.
he played Bloodborne?
I haven't talked to him about Sekiro yet.
Has he been playing it?
He was like, "Are you gonna play Sekiro?" He sent me a text out of nowhere and was like, "He's like, yo, so
I'm about to text him
he was,
tonight. I'm
yeah,
gonna
he was like, yo, you
"You
should play
playing it?"
Sekiro.
Because
You
I'm
should
playing
play
it.
Sekiro. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Cool. We'll
So
talk
anyway,
about it.
we have to figure out when to do Heath Souls. We have to figure out when to do Jeff Bourne. We have to figure out when to fit everything in, and we have to figure out when to like. I need to have channel. So it needs to work. Which bloodborne weapon do you think Jeff will find the most affinity with? Well, I'm not going to spoil anything for him in terms of bloodborne weapons, but
So you don't just have like a standard sword or axe or whatever. You get to choose like what your main weapon of choice is. All right, you're being real cagey. And if I was more mobile, I'd get in your face about it. I can't move. I want to leave, but I can't.
Oh, I don't think we're talking about 2 nights a week, but that is exactly what the issue is. Just getting too much, whatever. Who knows?
What is this, the Jeff channel?
Tell him what a trick weapon
You got
is.
it, baby.
Hey, you can't sit down. You can't.
I can't. Come
You're not
back in
sticking
the
your head
frame.
back in the
I
frame because you can't.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna...
Old man Jeff. All right. Tell him what a trick weapon is, at least. Yeah, it's like a trick question. Got it?
What's a trick weapon?
Nothing, man.
What's a trick weapon?
Don't even worry about it, bro.
Is it like a saw, but that's like...
Bro, don't worry
like a
about it.
sword?
What?
What's a trick weapon?
Did you guys hear what he just said? Is it like a saw that's like a sword?
Is this what's gonna happen when I come on the show?
No, because you're close to the truth,
Oh, really?
and I don't know how you got that.
So it's like a prosthetic arm?
Hey, man, you're asking too many questions. All right, bro. All right. Old man Jeff's gonna be sleeping on a plank of wood. Is that what you do with your advanced age citizens?
I think that's what you're supposed to do. I'm about to go do some research about what
I know,
the
that's-
fuck I should be doing with my back.
That's what I'm saying,
I'm taking my
Tarkovsky.
pillow with me.
All right, I'm gonna. What? All right, I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna walk him down. I'm gonna try to figure out what we're gonna do next week. With that one day, I had a brilliant idea. It was brilliant, and I don't have it anymore. It's gone because we talked all about a lot of stuff, and then I went riff
Well,
raff, street rat.
Okay, what was it in reference to?
I know. Oh, it was what to do this coming week.
Was
The-
it
the
movie
one day.
related?
Yeah.
Or was it game related?
It was like in other words, what to do with that dangling.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
like, did you want to do?
It was a movie.
What kind of movie was it? Like
I can't remember.
Was it like something Sekiro related, like
Did-
a martial arts movie?
Okay, I see what you're doing.
I'm
I was
trying
gonna say
trying to refresh your memory.
I was like if I could tell you these things. I don't think it was martial arts related.
Was it Kurosawa related?
No, I don't think so.
Was it related to
I had another
Lumet?
idea. What's that?
It was just a completely one-off idea.
Yeah, hold on. See you guys. Hold on there. I'm gonna come back and play some Sekiro.
Oh, that's what I'm gonna go do.
Yeah, all right. We should pipe you in. You'll be like, hey man, where are you? What are you doing? Did you see this yet? Oh my gosh, this is
cool.
great.
That's cool.
All right, sweet. All right, guys, we will be right back with our new "Be Right Back" banner.
Dude, that banner's awesome.
It freaking is. I loves it. All right, hold on. Why can't? Bark, bark, bark.